And we are back.
Back in the saddle again.
It's not how the song goes.
How does the song go?
Well, it's are you thinking of the Aerosmith one?
No.
Oh.
I'm thinking like an old Western song, like back in the saddle again.
Oh, no.
He's back in the saddle. Did I make this song up?
I think you did. Yeah, you definitely did.
So I took a saying and turned it into a song.
You did. There's an Aerosmith song. I don't know if it's back in the saddle, though. He says, I'm back. Yeah, back in the saddle again.
Yeah, Gene Autry, back in the saddle again.
I'm back.
Do you think I could play that song? Like, do you think it's old enough? It's really old.
I don't think. What does that have to do with if you could play it or not?
Yeah, I mean, like...
Are you saying they're simpler people? Like, all songs are simpler because they're old?
No, I just say I don't think people care anymore. Like, it's off copyright.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Yeah. Like, actually physically, like, play the song on the computer.
Yeah.
Aha. Well, if it's free to the people...
that doesn't work that way.
It doesn't?
You can't just play something on air because it's on YouTube.
Well, you are.
Well, this is, remember this? Gene Autry?
I know who Gene Autry is, but I don't remember this song.
He sang a song called Back in the Saddle Again.
Yes, you said that.
I would play it, but
we're worried that Gene Autry will come after us.
From the grave.
His estate.
Gene Autry might climb out.
His skeleton.
All right, I'm not going to play it.
Okay. It's not that important anyways. But we are back.
Yeah.
Another episode. This episode comes out after we've already seen Star Wars.
But we haven't seen it yet.
Skywalker.
Because we usually record on Thursday nights, but we're going to see the movie on Thursday night. So tonight we're recording on a Wednesday night. I know. It makes no sense, guys. We should have waited until Friday.
It's completely backwards. But either way, we're giving you a solid 2 weeks.
And that's perfect. The spoiler-free period.
Yes.
I'm just getting like...
And we've done that
pretty consistently.
Yeah, for most movies, we've given it at least 2 weeks before we've really spoke about it. And I think that's a good thing.
I can't, like, my level of excitement grows by the day.
I can't handle it.
Like, there was a period of time earlier in this year where it's not like I wasn't excited.
Right.
I was just like, yeah, it's coming.
I was the same way just because I knew it was off in the distance.
Yeah, and I think I was just like trying to not get myself too excited because it was so far away.
Right.
And then Mandalorian came out and it like satiated
absolutely
a lot of like Star Warsness.
Yes.
And then, you know, that kind of...
And then I started doing a countdown on Snarf Comics social media stuff, and that's all I've been paying attention to for
tomorrow,
at least a week.
It happens. I'm trying to not read any reviews.
It's 42 years of Star Wars from the first movie.
And there'll be more movies.
Yeah, I'm just saying for this, they call it... You have not agreed with
I don't
this,
agree. I don't think it's going to be the case.
That's
I
what
think
they're calling it, is like
the
the Skywalker saga is over after this movie because it was, what's his face? George Lucas had originally like planned it for 9 movies. So they followed that plan. Whether they do anything with the Skywalker saga after this is yet to be
Kylo
seen.
Ren is a Skywalker, right?
Right.
In part. So he's not going away. He signed more movie contract deal than 3 movies, I'm sure. They don't sign anybody to 3 movie deals. It doesn't happen anymore.
How do you know that?
Because like all these big franchise movies, they get these actors early on and they sign them to like 6 movie deals.
Right. And they can pay them less.
Yeah, that's the way of paying them less. You get them when they're not super famous and rich, and then you lock them into a 6 or 7 movie deal.
Yeah.
Like I think Hemsworth had a 7 movie deal with Marvel.
Which he's basically completed.
No, he's completed. He just re-signed another deal, but think how much more he's going to get now.
Right. He absolutely is. Because he's the only Thor that could ever be.
Yeah.
Basically. Like for our generation, he is. In the future, like let's say another 15 years, they could maybe replace some of those Marvel characters.
Yeah. I just have a hard time believing that Daisy Ridley and Kylo and... What's his name?
So they
Ren.
will probably have spin-off movies from this and follow them in their travels, but it won't be them together in a movie, I don't think.
I can't wait for people to listen to this that have already seen it, knowing that we haven't seen it yet, but the movie's already out now that you're listening. And
I
you're gonna
know.
be like, you guys are idiots.
Yes.
Because
So-
I thoroughly believe there's going to be a team up, a Kylo Ren
yeah.
team up
I completely
against the
agree.
Emperor. And there's a new trailer that I just watched in the theaters Monday before a movie.
Oh, yeah.
And you've probably seen it, but I don't think I've seen that particular trailer. And it's basically shows it in the trailer, them like fighting together and like working together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. More or less.
The only ones I've seen is that where they're fighting each other, like in that ocean battle in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but they say something in this trailer, and I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but something along the lines of them like teaming up. So but
I mean, you could figure that. And there was another clip that I saw of just Kylo going into this cave, and Palpatine's talking to him, and he says, he's like, I've been the voice in your head that you've heard the whole time, but it goes through different voices. It goes to like Darth Vader, Snoke, Palpatine, somebody else. But he goes through all these voices and then ends up as the Emperor's voice. And you could see Kylo's like super pissed because he knows then that he's been
played.
Yeah, he's been being used
and abused.
Right. And then thrown away.
Used
like
and abused into killing
trash.
his own father.
Little piece of emo trash.
So do we think that Snoke was the Emperor all along, or was he just a puppet of the Emperor?
Yep. Yes. So Snoke is his own person, but I believe he was just a puppet of the Emperor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He was also being used.
So it's clear that, we can get into this a little later. Well, let's talk about it now. I rewatched
Last Jedi?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, I've just been wanting to watch more Star Wars, and I popped through the old trilogy movies, the prequel movies. And I'm like, that's probably the one I've seen the least out of all the
Really?
prequel movies.
Man, I saw that way more than everything else.
Well, anyway, I forgot like the huge plot point of that movie is like that the Emperor has discovered a method for living eternal life. That was his thing. His master.
I guess I forgot that.
Darth Plagueis.
Yes.
Plagueis, who, upon watching this again and then kind of reading some more, like I'm pretty sure was alive, like throughout Chancellor Palpatine's time in the Senate. I think he was alive right up to when he got elected Supreme Chancellor.
Really?
And I think it's at that point, which he's already been here in movies now.
Yes.
I think it's at that point that the Emperor actually kills his master, Darth Plagueis.
Plagueis.
I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Plagueis. I know what you're saying. Yes.
And he says, several times, like, my master unlocked eternal life, like the secret of eternal life through the dark side of the Force. And he taught it to me. And that was his whole pitch to Anakin. He's like, I can save Padme.
That's right.
I can save her. I can teach you the eternal life. I know how to do it, blah, blah, blah. And then it gets like all the way through to the end. And he's like, we can discover it together. So like whether or not he actually knew it or not, we don't know at this point. But it's clear that it almost like makes it seem like that was all planned for these movies coming forward. But it wasn't.
It wasn't, but they played off of that.
They played off of it for sure. So I think, what they're going to come, you're going to come to realize, whether or not they spell it out in the movie or not, is that he did discover that secret, and that's how he survived Return of the Jedi.
Well, and so before any of these new movies were made, they had a sit-down conversation with George Lucas to see where he was going to take the rest of the series when he sold it to Disney, and that was like a stipulation of him saying, like, I'm going to like give you everything that I was going to do, and then you take it from there. I don't think they used a lot of it, but
we talked about it in the podcast once because I read an article that he was upset.
Yes.
He didn't use a lot, but they did use quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like Kylo Ren was basically outlined in his outlines. He had scripts for him,
yeah,
basically.
He did.
Whether they were outlines or full scripts, I don't know. But, I wish they probably... The things that work seem to be the things that came from his mind.
Yeah.
Which, it's weird when you're watching Revenge of the Sith. Like in a lot of ways, it's a lot better movie than either the Last Jedi. Like not looks wise.
No, yeah, I
but
get it.
As far as like the story goes, and the consequences, like you feel tension.
Yes.
Throughout all of those prequel movies, by the way. Significant tension too. And another thing that George Lucas did do was, like, he killed people. Like, there was stakes. Like, people are dying left and right in those prequel movies.
Absolutely.
Like, he killed Qui-Gon Jinn in the first, and Darth Maul in the
right
first
in the very
one.
first film.
And then, you know, like, Anakin Skywalker slaughters children in Revenge of the Sith.
Women
No,
and children.
no, in the Jedi Temple. And there's just a lot of, like, it's pretty heavy for most of it.
Real quick, a little funny thing. I saw I had a meme sent to me where it said, what did it say? Anakin Skywalker. It just said Anakin Skywalker killing Yinglings. And like, he was sitting there like just drinking beer. It was just a play off the Younglings thing. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, anyway, I forgot how good of a movie that was. It was super good. It was entertaining. It's, you know, other than, for real, like, Hayden Christensen's really terrible acting.
He's not good. He just seems so forced.
A lot of dialogue in those prequel movies in general, and specifically that one because I watched it more recently. A lot of really bad dialogue. But the original trilogy was not known for good dialogue.
No, not at all. But think about, so you say that they flow better, they tie in better, and it's because it's coming from his mind. But if you could tell me a story, and then I could write a story off of that, and it's not going to be the same vision as yours. Even if you've had stuff written before, I can read what you've written. It doesn't matter. Like, what comes out of my mind is absolutely going to be different from yours, and it might not fit as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I think George Lucas did have the vision that would fit better.
Definitely.
But he had like $1 billion payday over this stuff. So
$4 billion.
$4 billion. Yeah, that's right.
Well, the thing that I thought was interesting is, while the dialogue suffers in all of them, even like people that are doing a really good acting job, like Ewan McGregor, his dialogue is still, it's odd. But you know, like I said, the plot and the stakes and the drama and the intensity of it are really on point for Star Wars. And somebody I read made a good point with these new movies, with the what's the Last Jedi and the one before that,
Force Awakens,
is they completely lack all that for the most part. They are flashy toy commercials almost.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that, because like with the prequels, you have that huge tension and like the buy-in of Obi-Wan and Anakin being so close.
Yeah.
And then in Revenge of the Sith, how it just all crumbles down, and you can see Obi-Wan like killed over this, like, because he feels like he's actually murdering a brother. He says it, like, you were like a brother to me. And you can see that, and it's building up to that tension the whole time where Obi-Wan's like, I do not want this to happen. You need to start listening to me. You know, like, just cool it and we'll be friends forever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. He goes the opposite way, and you can see all of that like heartache through the whole movies. And then Padme's doing the same thing. Then there's babies involved.
Yeah, like, and the self-destruction of Anakin, like, you buy it.
Yeah.
Even though the acting's bad, you buy it. And like the whole,
and I think that works better because we know who he is in the later movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you were to watch that like 1 through 6, I don't think you get that feeling, like that same feeling of like, oh man, like I know where he ends up, but why is he doing this?
Yeah.
Just crazy.
There is a small moment when he seemingly turns from like on the edge. So when he confronts the Emperor and Sam Jackson, starts fighting him, power. Yeah, and then he kills Sam Jackson's, essentially. Yeah. And right there, he's like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" But like 5 minutes before that, he was ready to arrest him. Chancellor Palpatine. But then my point is that very next scene, he's kneeling down and pledging his allegiance, and like 2 minutes after that, he's slaughtering the Jedi Temple. Yep. It just, unless it warps your mind that quickly, that part seems a little unreliable. But
well, unless you can be at a point where you're ready to arrest a guy, right? And you just think that's what it is, and then all of a sudden it escalates so quickly to murder. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I wasn't ready for that. Like, that's not what I was ready for. So he's kind of taken aback by that. And then all of a sudden I think he's just sitting there like, well, it happened. Like, I'm in now.
No, I think he bought in to the Chancellor's lie that the Jedi were against the Republic. He
absolutely
thinks he's
did.
the good guy in this.
Yeah.
But that turns really quickly to slaughtering children, which
Yeah, that's
doesn't
true.
make a lot of sense.
That's true.
But other than that, that's fine. But my point is, think of the adult themes of those prequels more so than the original. So the original ones were fun and adventure,
Yes.
right? And then you get those prequels, which a lot of people didn't like. But you're talking about trade negotiations and democracy and Senate
Yes.
hearings and chancellors and things like that. Things that are it grew significantly in the story and in the plot elements. And, I feel like it really took a step back into these prequels. And maybe they took a step back on purpose, saying like, oh, people didn't want that.
Well,
People want it more like the original.
And so Mark Bernardin had an argument about these movies, saying that they're a children's movie. He's like, this was
don't feel like
based
the
off of a
prequels
kid's.
are, though.
Well, he's like, this is based off a kid's movie, and he said that the reason people got pushback, or the reason people pushed back on the prequels, is because it wasn't that way, and it was trying to be a little more serious and adult-like. When everybody was saying, no, you need to go back to like a kid's movie. Then,
But that wasn't the problem with those movies.
no, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's what he's saying. And then bring that into Mandalorian. And he said the same. He used that argument for himself, saying like, well, I need to remember that these are kids' movies and you need to take it that way. Well, no, you don't. I mean,
I feel like he was completely wrong. I listened to that episode with Phil Lamar.
Yeah.
And Phil Lamar is just like, what?
Yeah,
And
he was the whole time.
I feel like he was way off base with Mandalorian for several reasons. One of them because I understand just because that it's simple, the premise.
It is.
But that doesn't make it for children. My children have no interest in the Mandalorian.
No, neither do mine.
I've tried. They're just not interested.
Yeah.
I actually feel the other way. I feel like its simplicity, it feels more like an art piece.
I completely agree.
Like a cinephile's rendition of all these different styles of filmmaking that are being brought into the Star Wars universe. And I don't see how that, just because it's, I think some of the best story is simple for adults or children.
I just had that conversation today at work about it, because a guy at work was saying that one of his buddies said he just absolutely hates Mandalorian. Like, how could anybody like this? And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, it just takes from Western movies, like what's that Clint Eastwood movie,
The Quick and the Dead.
The Quick and the Dead. He's like, it takes from The Quick and the Dead, and it takes from old Shogun movies. And yes, that's what it's been put out as
throughout cinematic history.
Exactly.
Since the silent film era, the same styles have been regurgitated 1,000 times over,
So
and now
then-
they're being regurgitated into science fiction.
Go back to episode 12 when we had an interview with Jason Inman, comic book writer, and he works on a TV show for CBS. And he was saying, because I had brought up like using tropes, and he said absolutely use them. He said, why wouldn't you? He's like, you have to. Everything's already been done for the most part. He's like, use those tropes and make them your own. And that's what they're doing. They're using those tropes, but they're doing it in a Star Wars world.
I don't
with
even
a
feel like they're
Mandalorian.
using tropes as much as they're like paying homage,
Okay. I guess they are.
which I think makes it even more legit. Is like you're sitting there saying like, oh yeah, these might be tropes, but like we want to pay homage to this style of cinema
Yes.
and make this show in the vein of that. And the interesting thing about The Mandalorian is it's not, yes, a couple of them were like a Western. One of them was like a Western. One of them was like a Shogun movie.
Yeah.
One of them was like something else. They're not all the same at all.
Yep. One of them was like Jetpack Samurai.
Yeah. Did you know that the guy under the Mandalorian costume is not Pablo? Is it Pablo Pascal?
Pedro.
Pedro Pascal.
It's not?
No, for the most part, he's the voice, but most of the work is being done by body doubles or stunt doubles. Do you know who that stunt double is?
I have no idea.
John Wayne's grandson.
Really?
Yeah, he is under the mask of the Mandalorian. Him and another guy, but in most scenes, yeah, it's John Wayne's grandson.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even know he was in show business or that he had a grandson.
In some scenes, it is Pedro Pascal, but yeah, there were even some actresses or other actors that have worked on the show that are like, yeah, I never even saw him. He wasn't there. He's not there.
Right.
He's the voice.
That's unreal. And the
At
amount
some
of money
point, he'll take off his helmet, I'm sure. But
you think so?
yeah, last episode probably.
Yeah, probably. You're right. In front of somebody.
We can talk about the Mandalorian if you want, because
We've already been. We might as well.
There was a new episode recently. Now it's a couple weeks old at this point, but
yes.
I don't remember what number it was, but
6. But apparently 7 came out today.
Oh, really?
The Nerdist put up a thing that said, or no, Star Wars. I follow Star Wars on Facebook, and they posted a thing today that said, give us your spoiler-ridden reviews of Episode 7 of The Mandalorian.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
So, yeah, they threw that out early for some reason, probably because of Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if it'll tie in at all.
I've always thought that it might.
Well, actually, before we get into that, since there's a Yoda involved in Mandalorian, I want to mention one more thing about Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
I completely forgot this part, but there's a part at the end when they're splitting up the twins, Luke and Leia.
Yes.
And so, they take Leia, and Obi-Wan's like, well, I'll take him to Tatooine. Well, Yoda says, take him to Tatooine to his family.
Yes.
And he tells Obi-Wan, you need to go over there and protect him, watch over him. How Vader doesn't understand that there's a kid named Luke Skywalker that's with his family on his home planet.
Yeah.
But he thinks he didn't know there was any babies.
Right.
But anyway, still.
Yeah, because doesn't he think Padme dies?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
But anyway, I digress. He gives Obi-Wan homework. Yoda says, I'm going into hiding. While you're on Tatooine, I have homework for you. Do you remember this part?
No, I don't.
He says, an old friend of ours has discovered the secret to immortality. Or not necessarily in those words.
Right, it's in Yoda speak.
The secret to something. Eternal life, basically. He's come back from the dead through the Force. And Obi-Wan says, Qui-Gon? He says, yeah. Qui-Gon, our old friend. And I'm going to teach you how to do it. And while you're on Tatooine, you can be working with Qui-Gon Jinn to attain that power.
What?
Yeah.
I do not remember any of that.
And that's the power that he attains when he gets on the Death Star, when he fights Darth Vader.
Yes.
And he stops and he becomes a Force ghost and he's able to talk to Luke. That's that power. He is alive permanently through the Force, just same as Qui-Gon and Yoda.
Yes.
And all those people. And the same as probably Luke Skywalker.
Luke Skywalker, yeah.
Who I'm sure he taught the same thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, yeah, because he projected himself, but that's not, he's already alive somewhere else. But then how does that kill him is what I'm wondering.
I don't think it does personally, but
you think he's still physically alive?
I do.
Why didn't he disappear?
He did. Yeah. So probably the same situation with Obi-Wan where he does that. Yeah.
I wonder if they
he's alive through the Force.
But I wonder if they submit themselves to the Force. You know what I mean? Basically just give up their physical body to the Force.
Pretty much, yeah. That's not
you know
generally. I mean, that's not what happened to Qui-Gon, but Qui-Gon was the first one to discover
got,
it.
Cut directly, or didn't he get stabbed or cut in half? Yeah.
But he's the first one to discover it, so maybe that's why. And Yoda did disappear too.
But he's not the first one to. Well, he would be the first one to discover it because you're saying Plagueis did it.
But that's through
later.
the dark side.
I understand, but they're still.
I think that's
alive.
eternal life through their physical form.
Oh, okay.
Whereas on the light side, it's eternal life through the Force. So anyway, I found that was interesting. I forgot that little detail, and then I remembered that when they remastered after Phantom Menace, and they remastered and re-released the original trilogy in theaters, which I do remember seeing. They do have Qui-Gon at the end of Return of the Jedi.
They do.
Yeah,
they do. I forgot all about that stuff.
What I don't understand is they have also Anakin, but you know that he hasn't learned that power.
I wonder if I have time to watch every single movie before tomorrow night and go to work.
Yes. And Mandalorian.
Yeah, right. And that's only 30 minutes. We can do that.
Well, anyway, so there was a new episode of The Mandalorian. It's old now, but it's the one where he joins up with like the crew and they go to the prison transport, the droid-controlled prison transport to do a breakout.
Yes, episode 6.
And
the Prisoner, it's called.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite episodes. I really enjoyed it.
It's probably my favorite episode. Bill Burr's in it as one of the other, what are they, bounty hunters?
They're like mercenaries.
Mercenaries, yeah. He was really good.
He was great. The big red guy, I can't remember his name offhand, but if you look him up, he's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you'll know him from everything. He was in he's in a Marvel movie. He was or was he in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I think he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And then the girl, she was in Harry Potter. She was Tonks.
Yeah, she was the wildling in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she was in Game of Thrones. So anyway, it was a really fun episode. I thought just because the action was amazing. That's probably the best at combat we've seen The Mandalorian.
So this is what I wanted to bring up. The only problem I've had with the show so far is that every episode they've always talked about how great he is and what he's done in the past, and this one really brought up about how like brutal he has been in the past and done some things that he's obviously not doing now. But they all talk about how great of a gunslinger he is and just very good in combat, basically. But throughout the show, he's kind of been bumbling around. He always gets shot.
Oh yeah, like he got shot a lot in this episode too.
That's starting to annoy me. It was very close quarters, so I can understand that kind of. And you do have the armor,
but you got to get over like the armor is not impenetrable.
No, well, it is apparently for most things. But anyway, he hasn't been the guy that they've been like playing him up to be. But I feel like this episode finally paid that off to where you see him like best everyone. Yeah. He's just better than you on every aspect of like combat and like planning and like figuring things out, right? Like he just is better than you. And
I do think it's like a little unrealistic when he's like trying to save the not the rebel, but the Republic guy. That's the
where they get in like a drawdown.
He's a cutthroat bounty hunter. Like he doesn't care. He shouldn't care. It's like
turned a leaf,
turned a corner, I guess. By the way, that guy was a voice from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he was a
voice of I think Anakin.
Yeah, and
so lots of cool Easter eggs in this episode, and then the amazing part, my favorite part at the end, when the X-wings show up.
Yes.
And you just see how formidable an X-wing fighter is as they just completely devastate that entire place.
And they both stand there and they're like, "Are those X-wings?" He's like, "Yep."
Director Dave Filoni
is one of the pilots.
And the other one is doing another Star Wars movie.
So that was paying homage to the original trilogy because that's what they did in those movies.
Yeah.
So they had like one of the producers or writers, or not a writer, but they had people like extra people working on set as the pilots. And it was just because they didn't need like good actors or anything. They just needed somebody to sit in a seat for a couple scenes.
Right.
And so it was like paying homage to that. So they did it in that episode on purpose.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And then I did think it was weird though. Like, why wouldn't they follow a ship leaving that, or at least like do something with his ship? He like just went around them.
Yeah. They weren't concerned with that.
But it's a really good episode just because he basically outwits the entire crew, and he like MacGyvered his way out of that jail cell. Like, spoilers, by the way, he gets thrown in a jail cell.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I thought that was really
the best
clever.
Though is when the droid is going to attack Baby Yoda.
Yes,
and he holds up his hand, and then
that's another point.
The Mandalorian shoots him in the back of the head. Spoilers, and then Baby Yoda just looks at his hand like, "Oh, did I do that?"
Yeah. So I think they're gonna pay something off towards the end of this too with the Baby Yoda. Because in every episode, you do see him use the Force a little bit when he picks up that like mud, what is it called? Like a mud rhino thing.
Yeah.
So he picks that up and he uses the Force. But I think they're going to pay off something towards the end of him actually doing something with the Force, like a little bit bigger than that. Because every single episode, like he's getting ready. It's not every episode, but it seems like it. He's getting ready to like do something, and then something else happens to stop him. I think by the end of this season, we're going to see him do something that you're like, holy shit, like he's way more capable than we knew of.
I think it is Yoda
No way.
reincarnated.
I just don't see that.
We don't know anything about that
happening.
species. That there might only be 2 of them, and they just continually are reincarnated
I guess.
as a species.
Maybe that's true, but I think you're wrong. I don't think that's the way it goes.
Well, long story short, Mandalorian
Episode 6 is the one you need to watch.
is great, and all of them, and it's very, again, I've said this a million times, but it's a very Firefly. This is a Firefly episode in a Firefly series, I
Yes.
feel like. And I don't know if that annoys people when I say that, but I feel like
This episode
similarities.
is like to a T Firefly. This was like a mission that they would have been on.
That's one, and the one when they were on that planet.
On the planet, yeah. And that one wasn't really my favorite.
Yeah, that
and
still probably my favorite episode.
This one was definitely my favorite, for sure. Just because of the payoffs of being able to see him do what we have been told he is good at.
Yeah.
And he finally does it. And that to me was like, all right, now this is easily the best episode.
So next episode, guys, that's probably the end of our Star Wars talk. Next episode, you will get our review.
We will give a very in-depth, spoiler-ridden review.
And it'll be our first episode of the new year.
You're right. It will be.
Yeah, it'll be first of season 3.
It'll be number 1 of season 3, which I'll still number it as like 57.
Yeah.
Something like that. But it'll be the first one in season 3.
All right. Well, I got a bunch of what I've been watching and some trailers to go over. Do
Yes.
you want to get some news? Do you got any news?
Not really, besides trailers.
Okay. Well, let me do one. I went to a movie, and I'll talk about the movie I saw later and what I'm watching. But before it, there was just real quick. I know we've talked about the Ghostbuster trailer.
Yes.
But I got to see it in theaters, big screen.
Oh, yeah?
And it's the same trailer we've already seen.
Yep.
But it looks really good.
It does.
It looks really good. It looks fun. It looks interesting and different. I'm all on board. I like the fact that they're going for a different tone and a different type of movie.
I agree.
And
I didn't
that
want the same type of movie.
Makes it a million times more interesting to me.
Yes.
And the fact that I know that that's the case, and also the originals are all coming back, so they're going to meld the two together, makes it even more interesting.
Yes.
I will say there was a little bit, you weren't sure, but there's a moment when he's going through the uniforms.
Yeah.
That's not Venkman's uniform. I'm pretty sure that is Egon's grandson.
Egon's.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
What's his last name? Egon. I can't remember. But
Isn't that his last name?
is it
I thought it was.
Spangler?
Egon Spangler?
Something like that.
Spangladesh? I don't
should
know.
definitely know.
I don't remember.
Egon Spangler.
Is it really?
And that's the name on the thing.
Spangler or Egon?
Spangler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was wrong. I apologize. for my
But anyway,
wrongness.
that looks great. I did see another trailer, and I don't think you've probably seen it.
Okay. I think I have.
It's a trailer for a movie called Doolittle.
Oh, I have not.
It is a
And
Dr.
it's-
Doolittle reboot
Okay, with RDJ,
with Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man himself.
I saw a little. Actually, I was buying a ticket for Nate to go to the pagoda, to go to the Star Wars movie with us, and like on the receipt basically that I got and proof of purchase of the ticket, there was a little banner at the top for Doolittle, and I saw him on there. That's the first I've ever seen of it.
Well, it's I saw it going into the theater. They had like a cardboard cutout, and I thought, oh, okay, that'll be cool, kids movie.
It does not intrigue me in the slightest.
Oh man, when you see the trailer, it will intrigue you.
Really?
It looks fantastic. This is
Really?
not like your Eddie Murphy Dr. Doolittle, like stupid funny comedy.
Yeah.
This looks like a epic fantasy adventure romp
Really?
that takes Robert Downey Jr. in a very almost Pirates of the Caribbean-esque way,
Or like Jumanji?
kind of, but like on a across the globe trek, and he's got these animals that are with him.
No kidding.
He's on pirate ships. There's pirate boat
Yeah.
fights.
Well, I
There's
tell you what.
lots of fighting. He's getting thrown into jail cells and getting his way out. There's lots of action. It looks like a really, really fantastic, fun adventure movie that
I tell you what, with Robert Downey Jr. and his status right now as a movie star, I don't think he's going to take something that isn't going to be like a big epic adventure. I really don't. I don't see him on the small screen anymore, like doing small movies, even indie movies. I just don't think it's going to happen.
This is going to be a huge franchise for him. It looked very, very Pirates of the Caribbean-esque.
Okay.
But actually more intriguing to me because I wasn't like that intrigued by Pirates of the Caribbean. This seems more intriguing to me. And also like it seems to have a lot of like heart and emotion. Like there's a part on the boat.
He does that well.
There's a part like very well in this trailer. There's a part on the boat where they're being attacked by like another ship, like cannonballs and stuff.
Okay.
And he's like down on the ground, like laying with his gorilla that he talks to.
Yes.
And the gorilla just looks like scared.
Yeah.
And like crying, upset. It sounds so ridiculous because he's talking to animals here. But he says something. He's like, "We don't need to be scared." You know, something like he gives this little pep talk, but this really like emotional
Heartfelt,
pep talk
emotional.
to this gorilla. And I'm just like, oh my God, am I going to start like tearing up?
Damn it, I love that gorilla.
For Doolittle. It looks so good, dude. It looks amazing.
I'll have to absolutely watch that. But like I said, his agent is not letting anybody throw scripts at him. That isn't going to be like a huge...
it so you can watch it because it's like worthy of doing that.
We'll do it.
Okay.
At some point.
And so those were the two there was other trailers, but those were the main ones I got. So
I have just one trailer that came out, and this is probably going to be a big deal when the movie finally drops, but I don't think it comes out until May of next year. And it is Top Gun 2.
Oh yeah, that's trailer's been out for a while, I think. No,
I thought it just came. It just came out.
It's been out for a while.
No, everybody was talking about Top Gun 2 trailer that just came out. They might have put out like
they had a teaser out or
teaser,
something. And the
but
teaser
this is
looked
a
amazing
full
because we
trailer.
talked about it on the podcast.
And this full trailer is like
it looks
they're
awesome.
Paying like super homage to the very first film. Everything about it. It kind of makes me nervous because I feel like it's a little overdone, but maybe it's not.
That's what people want, man.
I know people do want it because you've got
nostalgia machine.
You've got like one guy's son, and then you've got Goose's son standing there, and they look identical.
Really?
So, like the guy that's playing Goose, you've seen him before. He's the guy in Ready Player One. What was that guy?
The guy that plays Goose?
His son.
Oh, okay.
He was in that movie. I can't remember the kid's name. You've seen him before, but he's got a mustache just like Goose. He's got hair just like him.
Isn't he the dude from The Boys? Isn't that the same guy? Dennis Quaid's son? No. Never mind.
No. Nope. Not that guy.
Okay.
But it's like super nostalgic. You see Tom Cruise riding his motorcycle without a helmet again.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
He actually flew the jets.
He did?
Yeah.
No way.
Yes. That was a big thing about this movie.
How the hell do they let Tom Cruise do this stuff?
He went and trained for years and years and years, learned how to fly it. I don't know if the studio bought the jet or they just gave a huge amount of insurance to the United States government. But
they're not going to. The government will not do that. They would not.
Well, they did.
Well, they had to have like paid for the jet then.
Well, there's other jets that are like retired jets that I'm sure he could have used. But yeah, he definitely flew. I don't know if he flew them like in the hardcore scenes, but he flew those jets to get whatever stock footage they needed to get for him of him flying jets.
That's kind of cool.
He's a badass.
He really is, and he's like 50 some years old.
He's like almost 60.
He's close to it, and it's ridiculous that he's still doing these type of things.
And he looks like he's younger than me.
Exactly. It must be Scientology.
It is.
Maybe they're doing it to him, the alien guy.
I think I'm going to become a Scientologist.
Yeah, I think you should.
He's 57 years old.
Oh my gosh. I know people that are in their 40s that look 3 times his age.
I mean, I look 3 times his age, and I'm 35.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, in the trailer, they do a lot. They're showing a lot of aircraft stuff, a lot of ridiculous maneuvers that usually don't happen in real life. But it looks really fun. It does look really fun. They bring Maverick back to train people. It looks to be as if he's a test pilot. I think he's a test pilot. Grab me one of those. but it looks to be a test pilot for some like private industry or something, because at the end of the trailer he is flying this like spaceship is what it looks like. But the most interesting thing that I saw, before that, it also basically shows you that someone dies again. He's at a funeral.
Probably Goose's son.
You know, and I'm really nervous that they're gonna do that. Like, don't kill Goose's son the same way you just killed Goose.
I wonder if they'll kill him, Maverick.
And no,
I mean, that makes the most sense.
Well, maybe they do. No, you know it's not him because he's at the funeral.
Oh,
They show him saluting at the. Well, I guess you don't know if it's at the funeral, but
you
they show him
can't kill
saluting.
Tom Cruise.
No, you can't. Or Maverick. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Especially if you want to make Top Gun 3. Like, you're not going to get rid
Is
of Tom
this
Cruise.
Top Gun 2? There wasn't a second Top Gun? No, I guess there wasn't.
So I guess Val Kilmer's back in that too. And if Val Kilmer looks anything like he did in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, dude, he does not look good.
No, he didn't. His face was like super bloated. He looked terrible. They didn't give him
maybe he got in
any
shape.
lines.
Well, he can't talk. Like his voice was gone from the throat cancer. He had throat cancer.
I know during his cancer, I don't think he can. I think he can talk now.
He can talk, but his voice is super messed up.
Really?
Yeah, but he's been working on it.
Oh,
Kevin Smith talked about it. Like he didn't want to do the movie because he at that time
couldn't speak.
he couldn't speak well. He has a really odd or raspy voice or something. And he said he was working on it, but it hadn't gotten better yet. And
Right.
Kevin Smith said, "I got the perfect part for you. You don't have to talk at all."
Right.
But yeah, I'm glad he's getting back in it. Maybe he can get back in shape. Look
Yeah.
at Kumail Nanjiani.
I sent you some pictures of your boy, and he is ripped.
Yeah, and it's been like taking the internet by storm.
It
this
is.
week.
It's been overtaken. The first thing you said was, "It's fake."
It looks fake.
The first one I
Because
sent
his
you
face
does
doesn't
kind of
look like it matches
fake.
the body.
The second
second
picture-
one looks better. Yeah,
Yeah, it does look better.
But like the way the veins are popping, I'm like, how?
Isn't that
what
crazy?
is going on? If you guys don't know, Kumail Nanjiani is on Silicon Valley.
Yes.
And he started out on the Nerdist Network with a podcast called The Indoor Kids with him and his wife, and they just talked about video games. And he was a stand-up comedian. But that was it. He was not popular or famous.
No.
And then he started doing more Nerdist shows. And then him and Jonah Ray did a TV show for Nerdist that was like a late-night comedy stand-up show on Comedy Central.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't know he started with Nerdist.
I mean, he didn't start with Nerdist, but that's where he definitely got popular.
Okay.
With that podcast and then with the stand-up comedy being promoted through there. And then from there, like, he just started getting movie roles. And I think after Silicon Valley, his career kind of blew up. He was been in some high-profile movies now.
Yes.
And now
he's written a movie with his wife.
But he was, that was a really good movie,
and he
too.
was in it, but his wife wasn't in it. But
no, I think it got nominated for an Oscar.
could have. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote that movie.
The Big Sick or something.
Big Sick, yeah.
Or
That's what it is.
Love Sick.
No, The Big Sick.
Yeah.
Which is a true story of him and his wife's relationship.
Yep.
But he's very funny, and he seems like a very genuine, down-to-earth guy. Because I've listened to him on podcasts for years.
Yeah, you've liked him for a long time, and he's a really good dude.
But
he's
then
a
he
good
got
actor.
cast in the Marvel movie in the Eternals,
Yes.
which is huge. And and he was always kind of like an out-of-shape, kind of schlubby looking
I just
guy.
happened to get on.
Pakistani.
I just happened to get on Instagram to make a post about Star Wars, and the first thing that popped up, because we follow him, Snarf Comics does, and it was a picture of him all jacked,
Shredded, man.
and then I was like, "What is this? Like, this can't be real." And then I noticed that he's the one who posted it, and then he had a description or like wrote a little story about how he got in shape, why he got in shape, why he felt like he needed to,
Well,
and
'cause
different
he's gonna
things.
play a superhero.
So yeah, they didn't ask him to do it. So they didn't say like you need to be super jacked or anything for this whatsoever. He just felt like he needed to be.
Because I'm guessing his role in that movie is going to be as comic relief kind of
Probably.
character.
But then he was talking about training and whatnot, and then he said that the studio paid for a nutritionist and a trainer for him.
And
so
lots of
because
steroids.
he said if
You can't get jacked like that without steroids. It's not possible.
yes it is.
No, not in that short of amount of time.
He said it's been over a year.
That's not long enough.
Yes, it absolutely is. With the right diet,
To
if you're
go from
super
where
strict,
he was to where he is now, no. And listen,
he wasn't obese.
Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. He's like, anybody in Hollywood that's jacked, that's just part of the program because they're not competing. There's no reason they can't use steroids. They're not in sports. So there's no reason why you wouldn't use them. I'm not talking
except
about
for like health issues. Don't they cause like health issues?
I think
to
they're
use steroids. It's a drug.
First of all, steroid is a very broad term.
Well, true.
So human growth hormone is a steroid.
Yeah.
And it's pretty safe and it's well used. It's used by a lot of people and well tolerated by a lot of people.
HGH.
And so if it's used correctly with a nutritionist and stuff like that, I'm sure there's no, yes,
Well,
of
yeah,
course
I
he's
guess.
using supplementation. You don't get shredded like that without it.
Supplements, yes, but I don't know if it would call them steroids.
But I guess human growth hormone is not a steroid. It's a hormone.
Yes. That would make sense. I think that would make sense.
But there's other ones like that. You know what I mean?
Either way, he talks about it and says how miserable it was.
I'm sure.
It's like it was just a rough year of
I always like
constant training.
I think it was Mark Renard that always said like Hugh Jackman, he's like 60. I mean, he's super old too. I mean, he was jacked, beyond jacked for all those years.
Yeah.
Playing Wolverine. And like his diet would be like to work out all day long and like all he would eat was just like boneless, skinless
Chicken
chickens.
breasts. Yeah.
That's it. And like 10,000 calories worth of them a day just to get like the protein you needed to get that jacked.
Yuck. That a lot of those like bodybuilders and fitness people eat a shitload of chicken.
Whole chickens.
Yeah, all the time.
Because they're super lean.
Yep. But yeah, he's super jacked. Anyway, what were we talking about before that?
I don't know.
Oh, the Top Gun trailer. It looks good.
Yeah,
That's
I'm in. I'm in for it. I probably won't
Everybody's
see it in theaters. I don't know.
No, I probably won't either. There was even like a scene where they're singing in the officers club and whatnot.
Of course.
But what I did watch was an actual Navy pilot, like fighter jet pilot, did a review of the trailer because people were like blowing him up. He had a YouTube channel and people were blowing him up, asking him what parts of these is ridiculous. So he gave his take on it. And he's like, listen, a lot of what you're seeing is like, even though it looks really good, is CGI.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like, a lot of these planes are CGI. There's one move where, because they're all FA-18 Hornets, and he said that he's like, it goes straight up in the air and slows down and they go past them. He's like, that's a legitimate thing that you can do. He's like, but not in an FA-18. He said, if you went straight up like that, he's like, the plane will continue to go straight up. He's like, regardless if you have no throttle whatsoever or anything, your forward momentum of that plane will just take you straight up. He's like, because the plane can do it. It's like that maneuverable. He said it will not slow down and stop.
Yeah.
He's like, so that's somewhat unrealistic. And then he was talking about your bubble. He's like, there's a bubble around every aircraft that is just like how many feet you're supposed to stay away from each other. He said in the Navy is like really hardcore about you do not get into another person's airspace. He's like, a lot of times it's anywhere from 500 to 1,000 feet. He said most of the time you really don't go below 1,000 feet to each other unless it's like the Thunderbirds or stuff like that. Like those guys are doing it only because
the Blue Angels.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Not the Thunderbirds.
There's the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels.
Okay. The Blue Angels is the Air Force.
No, Thunderbirds are the Air Force. Blue Angels are the Navy.
Okay, gotcha. There's a Marines one too, I think.
Marines don't fly planes.
Fine.
They don't.
No, you're right.
Helicopters.
Maybe it's Army. They don't fly planes either, do they?
They do. C-130s and that kind of stuff, but not really fighter jets.
Real planes, though.
Fighter jets, no. I don't think so.
Actually, the other ones are more like the real planes.
Yeah, right. The ones that are doing things all the time.
Right.
So he just gave his like little reaction on the trailer, but he was overall positive about it. He's like, listen, this is a very nostalgic movie, and they're just, pouring it on with that kind of nostalgia.
Well, even the original, I mean, like when they buzz the tower, like that would never happen.
No.
Or like
It's
when
just
they're
not allowed.
upside down, like 10 feet apart. No, that's not going to happen.
Yep. That's what he was talking about. Like that kind of stuff. He's like, you just have to take that for what it is, you know, and it's just a movie.
I will say one time we were flying cross country, me and my dad. And we were in Canada, actually. We landed at an Air Force base, like right on the border. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but it was up by Ontario. And so we were landing. We came in and landed at this Air Force base to get fuel. And we were way behind. They were just flying jets, like doing practice, doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And we were way behind. But it was super bumpy landing because we were in the jet wash.
Yeah. And they've got a wake turbulence.
Yeah.
It's called.
So we were in that. So anyway, we get there, we're fueling up, we're just sitting there, and I'm watching, I'm right there by the runway watching these fighter jets take off. And, you know, we weren't behind one taking off because we had to wait a while because of the jet wash. But I was right there watching one take off, and they come about halfway down the runway.
And then go
straight up.
Yep.
Literally straight up.
Yeah. So.
And you're just like, what? And it's super loud.
So those are like combat maneuvers because that's like a combat takeoff. A lot of times they won't do that. But like when we were in Iraq on the air base, when we came in, you get off the plane and we got off the C-130 and you're just standing around on the air base, and there were F-16s and stuff taking off, and that's what they would do. And it's only because if you do that, it's really hard to shoot down an aircraft when it goes straight up in the air.
Right.
But if they take off nice and slow and just come up, you know, you're giving them a target basically. So, and then the same thing when C-130s take off, they can't go straight up in the air. But as soon as they would take off, they would bank really hard to the left and bank really hard to the right. And they have a certain pattern that they would fly to make it harder for you to target them. But all the fighter jets, I didn't see very many take off, but the few that I did, it was literally straight up in the air. Yeah. And you're like, how is it humanly possible to be in something?
You understand how much fuel that takes.
I have no idea.
Like
power.
Flying those planes, just how they're flown, the massive disparity in range of fuel.
Yeah.
Based on what you're doing is crazy. So like if you're just out flying it normal, they have like pretty good range on those things. Mm-hmm. But if you're out doing maneuvers and anything like that,
right, your
time to fly goes from like, it gets cut like by drastically.
Right.
You know,
unless you can get really high up. You know what I mean? Like if they can get really high up real quick, then they can pull it back and not use a lot of fuel. But most of the time, you're not doing that.
Still takes a ton of fuel to get up there.
Right. Which is why they have mid-air refueling.
Yes.
Which is crazy too to watch.
Yeah.
Like I've only seen videos of that, but
I've seen
insane.
It in person.
Have you?
No, I've
been in a.
No, I rode out on the little thing to plug in the gas pump.
That's good. They have to have a person out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's usually somebody like you.
It's a safety harness.
Yeah, OSHA. I mean, would make you wear a harness, of course.
No, I haven't been doing that. Well, let's get into, unless you got more news. We got. I got
one little piece of news
about a bunch of what we're watching. We need to get to
about a comic book that I've been waiting for a long time. I posted a thing on social media today about it as well, because today is comic book day. You know, like most Wednesdays, it's really every day, but Wednesdays is when a lot of huge released comic books come out. And today they released the final issue of Doomsday Clock, DC's huge event that Jeff Johns has been writing for what was supposed to be 1 year, ended up being 2 years. It's taken a really long time for the last issue to come out. Everybody was kind of in the dark about it in the comic book community because they thought it wasn't coming out until next year. They had told everybody like after January 1st is probably when it's coming out. And all of a sudden today it came out. So I still am not going to read it for a little while until I get a collected trade, because I don't want to buy, you know, every individual issue when they're pricing them at like $5 or $6 a piece.
Right.
The last issue though is 49 pages. So,
wow.
So it's a big one. But apparently I saw a thing that said, where is it at? It said Doomsday Clock finale charts the course for DC's future crisis.
Oh.
So I don't really think you get a resolution really.
Probably not.
To it, but I'm really intrigued about this because there is apparently some epic battles with Batman, Superman, and Dr. Manhattan, which sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
I mean, who doesn't want to see that? If you know anything about the Watchmen and you know anything about Batman and Superman, you want to see them fight each other.
Yeah.
And Batman and Superman aren't fighting each other. They're fighting.
Don't see how either of them would even stand a chance against Dr. Manhattan. That makes no sense whatsoever. But
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Superman can.
how? I mean, Dr. Manhattan can, at the thought,
erase time.
Create life.
Yes, create anything or just erase. He can like erase the universe.
Yeah, he can do anything at an atomic or molecular, subatomic level.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they've done it, but
I mean, he could just, at a blink, deconstruct Superman to atoms.
it says
Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, right here it says Doomsday Clock established how Watchmen's Dr. Manhattan broke the history of the DC universe.
Well, I will say, if you're watching, and we're going to talk about it later, but if you're watching the Watchmen TV show, you'll learn a little bit more about Dr. Manhattan and what his perceived or possible, what do you call it?
Perception?
Weaknesses. Be.
Okay. Because, yeah, I don't know. I've been really excited about it. I've talked about that comic book for a while now, and it has finally come. So I may buy all of them. I don't know. I already own 5 out of the 12, so I might as well just buy the next 7.
Yeah, you should totally.
So, yeah. Anyway, I was really excited about that.
Before we get into more, I just had this one quick news article, and we won't spend too much time on it, but it's a year in review. Top 10 comics, best new comics in 2019.
Okay,
I
love it.
It's almost the end of 2019.
It is.
This is
this will be the last episode of 2019 for us.
First episode of 2020, actually. No, you're right. It'll be the last.
It's the last one.
Number 10. I've not heard of Invisible Kingdom, a Dark Horse book. Writer G. Willow Wilson.
Okay. She's a good writer.
Yeah, it posits what would happen if a world-controlling mega corporation called Lux, Amazon, teamed up with the world's largest religion.
Okay.
I meant to say like a mega corporation, Lux, Amazon.
Yeah. Yes, I get it.
Okay. So that sounds interesting. Number 9, Bitter Root. Don't know anything about it. Could be summed up as Ghostbusters in the Harlem Renaissance.
Interesting.
Whatever. Number 8, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Writer Matt Fraction.
I did hear good things about that earlier in the year. I think I talked about it on an episode, but I haven't ever really.
Matt Fraction serves as your tour guide to the bizarre underbelly of the DC universe. Pure fun and adventure book. Matt Fraction's a great writer. I'd probably check it out.
Good.
He did the Hawkeye series, which I loved, and I collect, and I have it all. It's so great.
Didn't he also do Sex Criminals? Did he do Sex Criminals?
Yes.
That's a book about. It's a book about a couple that when they have physical intercourse, time stops, and they can do whatever they want during that time.
And
they do crime stuff.
Wife is Kelly Sue DeConnick. Matt Fraction.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
She's an interesting character.
She's a huge comic book writer as well.
She is, but have you ever seen her or like listened to her speak or anything?
Not really.
She's on Instagram a lot. You should check her out. But she
looks like a hipster, and so does Matt Fraction.
She's a strange bird.
Number 7 is that Hawkeye series that he wrote is so good, and that's a great comic for new readers. It's super good, and I'm guessing that's the direction they're going to go in the Disney Plus TV series for Hawkeye. Would be my guess.
I hope so.
Number 7, Martian Manhunter. Number 6 is Last Night on Earth with Snyder and Capullo.
Yeah.
Haven't read it yet. So
I haven't either. There's only 3 issues out because the 3rd one came out today.
Following through on the 0-year storyline. Number 5, Silver Surfer Black. Number 4, Undiscovered Country by Charles Soule and Scott Snyder.
Really? Is that an Image book?
Just debuted in November. Undiscovered Country topped both Batman and Spider-Man in sales in November.
Wow.
and it's their first joint project for Charles Soule and Scott Snyder, two of the best comic book writers in the business. That sounds amazing. I'm going to check that out. Number 3 is one that we have been, neither one of us have really been following, but has been getting all the accolades all year long in all of comics, and that's House of X and Powers of X.
Yes.
The new X-Men series written by Jonathan Hickman, who is a tour de force in comics throughout his entire career. So I'll have to check that one out. Number 2 is Little Bird. Takes place in a post-apocalyptic, post-human world where the church has taken over the state and rules what's left of America with a fascist fist. Number 1, Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. You have been reading.
I've been collecting it. I read the first 4, and I loved the first 4 a lot.
How many times can Daredevil top charts? How many times?
I don't know. I mean, when you keep putting these type of writers in the driver's seat, it's unbelievable. And the story of this one,
and who was the last Daredevil writer?
He picks up
Charles Soule.
Yes, so he picks up right after Charles Soule left off, basically. But it's like a year advanced after that, because at the end of Charles Soule's, like, he's so beaten up, like he was left in the hospital, because I think he gets hit by a bus or something, and it really messes him up.
Yeah.
And he's in the hospital for a long time. And then, so Chip Zdarsky picks it up with him getting out of the hospital and, like, trying to figure out if he needs to start over or not. And then him realizing that Daredevil is, like, more than just, like, a character he is, or, you know, like it's like a part of him that, like, speaks to him almost to where he cannot not do that anymore. Like, it's so much a part of him that he...
reminiscent of the Frank Miller Daredevil.
Is it?
Yeah, kind of.
I guess so.
Where Frank Miller Daredevil is where he kind of, like, realizes that, like, he isn't Matt Murdock. Like, that's his alter ego.
Yes.
Like,
so it's very much like that. But there's more to it. And then, what's the bad guy's name?
Kingpin?
Yes. Kingpin's involved. Punisher's involved.
I mean, I think the great thing about Daredevil in general is that it's crime drama. So it's very street level crime drama.
Yes.
And it's very much about, like, the physical and the psychological cost of being a superhero or a hero. And that's just kind of in general what they've always done with that character. And
it's so good.
It works, man. It's a really human story for the most part.
So that makes me really excited to hear now, because I haven't been following it since then. And I think there's like 7 or 8 more issues out since I've had paused my reading.
15 issues in.
Oh, okay. So there's 11 that have come out after I had paused my reading on that, and I got to catch back up on it, because the art in this book is, like, stupid good.
It looks amazing.
The cover artist, I should look it up to see who the cover artist is.
Art by Marco Cecchetto.
Okay.
I don't know who did the covers, though. Every book's a different cover usually. Cover artist.
Well, they're all under the same, like, style.
Yeah, when we were doing What's in the Box, I was bringing in Daredevil covers, and it was great.
Yeah, the new covers are so good.
They're like, every single issue is frameable.
Yeah, 100%.
It's amazing. That's the hard part about collecting comics, is especially with Daredevil and especially with Amazing Spider-Man covers. It's like you want to frame every cover.
Yeah, you really do.
And you're just like, oh, I can't frame every cover.
Right. Well, you could.
We could when we have our new podcast studio, which should be up and running in 2020, probably
sometime
within the first 3 months.
Yeah, possibly. What we need to focus on is getting to a Comic-Con and selling something that we have produced.
Yes, which we pretty much already out on C2E2 about having a book produced by then. But
right.
But we can still have a booth when we plan to. Real quick, before we do what we're watching, I wanted to do a little bit. I'm surprised you haven't brought it up yet.
Okay.
Because last episode, we did a review of Frozen 2.
Oh, yeah. I told you I was going to call you out on this, too.
You haven't done it.
No, I haven't, because I kind of forgot about it. I had talked about how much I enjoyed Frozen 2, because I did.
Yeah.
And I honestly still believe that the storyline is better, and I really enjoyed all the music. I thought the music was great. Chris's take, on the other hand, was that you did not enjoy the music and thought it wasn't as catchy or
Memorable.
memorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought it wasn't as memorable. And I still maintain it's not as memorable. I was probably a little hard on the movie in general, but I didn't re-see the movie. That wasn't what I was saying. But since then, my kids have pretty much nonstop been listening to the Frozen 2 and Frozen soundtrack because they just say, play Frozen
Right.
on YouTube Music on the Google Home. And it plays it, so it'll play both. And after listening so much to the Frozen 2 soundtrack, it was jarring when the Frozen 1 songs come on.
What do you mean jarring?
Like they're clearly not as good.
Right.
The Frozen 2 songs they're just different, right? So the Frozen 1 songs are catchier.
They're catchy,
They're
but
poppier.
Yes.
And they're more memorable. All right. But they're simple in general.
They're a simply designed song to make it catchy to you because they're doing it for a film. But these songs,
Frozen 1 sounds like more like a soundtrack to a Broadway musical. But with a little more poppiness to it.
Yeah.
After listening back to a lot of the Frozen 2 songs, they're just more...
These are structured as legitimate standalone songs.
I wouldn't even say that. They have a lot of depth to them.
That's what I mean. Like, they're structured as a standalone song to have like depth, I guess you would call it that.
I'm going to say that. I don't think they're as structured to be standalone. I feel like they are just... It's a more mature soundtrack.
Yeah, because they're mature characters now.
And especially that, like, the main song.
It grew with them.
It's pretty...
What's the main song? Into the Unknown? Is that the one? Into the Unknown.
Oh, that was really good. I don't know if that was the one I'm thinking of or not. The one where it constantly, like, keeps calling back to that, like...
Yeah.
Part. I don't know.
I thought that was that one.
But anyway, I was surprised listening back, like how much I was enjoying the Frozen 2 music better.
Because then, like, go back and listen
the
to
Frozen 1, like after listening to that whole soundtrack in the car the other day, and then like Let It Go came on,
yeah,
and it was like, oh, this sounds like a little kid's song compared to like the other ones.
Right. It is. They are.
Yeah.
They are like little kid songs. They are more mature, I would say. Isn't it weird that I just said I'm going to have to go back and listen to them? We're talking about a legitimate children's movie.
Yeah.
But we are in the season of our life that is wrapped in children's movies.
That's the thing.
And I'm so invested in this stuff that I'm going to listen to the soundtrack on my own without my kids in the car now, because I'm like, man, I like those movies. I like those movies. I like that song. So that's my life.
That's fine. I mean, I'll probably do the same thing.
I know. Well, you're doing it anyways.
No,
so.
I mean, I was in with my children, but
right.
So you got any more news?
Nope. I'm good.
I watched several things, many things. Did you watch anything?
So I've watched some of The Watchmen. I haven't finished it.
Okay, let's go into The Watchmen then. Okay. Where are you at in The Watchmen?
I finished episode 6 is all. So I still have 7.
The flashback one?
Yes. Is that the one that you said was the best show ever to be produced on TV?
Yes.
Is that the one? Or was it number 7?
No, 6, I believe. That's the one with like Hooded Justice.
Yes.
Like back in the 50s or whatever?
Yes.
Yes, that is the one I maintain is one of the best episodes of television ever produced.
Why?
Oh, because first of all, the structure of the way they maintain a flashback is super interesting and novel.
Okay.
Should I do spoilers?
I don't know. Have we spoiled anything since we talked about The Watchmen?
Not really, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just a straight flashback. There's
I get it.
Pretense for it, like why it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that's a very novel, interesting approach.
Because of like what had happened prior to this to make those flashbacks occur anyways.
Yes.
I just didn't think it didn't hold my attention as well as I thought it would.
Wow.
And it was just because I didn't like it being, I don't know, I didn't like seeing it set back that far. And I understand that they are giving you backstory on a character, but it somewhat felt, it didn't feel like it was advancing the story to me.
Oh, that's not why I think it's one of the best episodes of television ever. I mean, I don't think it advances the story that much.
No, and that's why I think it kind of held
very
back.
Standalone, but the story they're telling in that episode, I think, is very intense and important and shocking.
It is very shocking because at first you think he's going to be this like welcomed and received police officer.
The way that it tackles
it's wild.
racism and race in that time period is so different, really, than a lot of things I've seen, and it perfectly encapsulates like the effects of that.
Yeah,
on a person, on a people, on a family, but just like the menace, right? So when he's and this isn't a spoiler, but he's on this police force, and like the menace of like he's walking along and talking to these white police officers and he's a police officer.
Yeah, they're
like,
working together.
Let's go get a drink. It's time to go get a drink. And then he's like, no, that's okay. And they pull away and you see that their car is dragging.
Yes.
To
dead
lynched
bodies, but that's not really there.
Yes, it is.
No, I think that was like a creation in her mind.
No, absolutely not. That was real. That was his memory. That's what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he acts like he never even noticed it.
That he has to show no emotion towards it because he doesn't want to further,
I felt like that was another creation because throughout some of this like the flashback, like strange things occur that I don't feel like are real life.
I don't think you're right. I think they were mostly all real life, if not all real life. That one definitely, I did not get the impression that it wasn't anything but real to what happened because of the tension of that scene. In context, it all makes sense.
It makes sense, but I feel like that could have been added because he knew what was coming anyway. So like the memory of it, like you already have the memory of it, so therefore you know what's going to happen at the end of that. I felt like it was added on as like foreshadowing for you to say like these guys are not good.
No, totally not. That
because
the whole point.
It's literally like he never even acknowledges it. And I get your point of saying like he can't, but wouldn't that shock you right away to be like, oh man, what the heck? And then you just like kind of turn away and act like you didn't see it.
That's the point though. The point is it's so fucked up and commonplace that you can't react to something like that. That's the time. That's the menace of the time and the racism of that period to where you can't react to that. Like that is happening.
I'll have to rewatch it and see because I still don't think it's real.
It definitely is.
I think it's just like a vision that's in there. Because there's also throughout those memories, I mean, she's involved with it too.
No,
like you see her.
That's just her taking his place in the memory because it's just reminding the viewer the context in which this is happening.
I get it. And I think that imagery of them dragging bodies, because there's no
way that
because it shows a little bit of blood, but it disappears behind the car.
I'm telling you, you missed it.
I'll have to watch it again, or that part at least.
And that's only one of like several other parts.
There's like so many. Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was a really powerful episode. And also I thought I don't know. I was on the edge of my seat through that whole episode. I'm surprised that you're saying that it was not interesting to you.
It wasn't that it wasn't like completely interesting to me. I just didn't feel like it went anywhere other than just tell you this one guy's story. The only reason it bothers me is because I want to know what's going to happen. Like I want to know what's going to happen in this show.
Yeah.
That's like in present day. And I just felt like it removed you from what's happening present day just to tell you a little bit of backstory, even though you already basically know about these guys.
Well, I mean, it does give you a big shock backstory of who that guy is.
Of who he is, yes.
But, I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that I'm not judging it based on its moving a story forward. I'm judging it as a single episode of television, and I don't think I've ever seen anything that's
Yeah.
that has been that affecting, and that I don't know.
It's real good writing. I tell you that. Like, that whole episode is written extremely well. Like, to try to tie that all together in one story, it's still, you know, the overarching story is still there of what's happening in the series at the moment, but to give you an individual story about a man and how he comes up through the police force and whatever he does during that time is pretty neat. I mean, it's incredible. I just felt I'm judging it as a series.
Yeah.
And as the series as a whole, I just felt like it is somewhat out of place. I mean,
I agree. I mean, as a series, it is out of place, and you don't really need it too much going forward.
I don't feel like you need an entire episode of that flashback. I think you can do a flashback that tells you the same information that you need on the character quicker.
That's not the point of the episode.
I'm not saying it is.
The point of the episode is to set the stage for the racism.
Yes.
That is going to become a part of the story going forward more.
But I mean, we've known racism is a part of that story for the entire time. There's been lynchings going on already. You already see the coat, like the white hoods and the coats. And,
I understand, but it has to affect you emotionally. And this is what does that.
That's what ties in the emotion.
This is what this episode does.
Yeah.
Like, before that, you're
that.
like on a surface level of this is a backdrop.
Yes.
This is what draws you in emotionally to that struggle and those characters going forward.
I agree.
And you haven't gone
You're
forward, so
I haven't.
I guess you don't know necessarily how it is going to tie in exactly. However, you know, is it required for the story plot-wise? No. I mean, there are aspects of it that are, which can be covered much more quickly. Mm-hmm. You're right about that. But it is required, I think, to give you the adequate emotional stakes going forward.
I can see that. I understand that point because I would agree. It does tie you in emotionally way more to like her. I mean, I don't want to say who it is, but yes, to everyone that's involved with her and what's going on there.
So anyway, while we're on the subject, I did finish Watchmen. The finale was last week. I watched it. I watched the Watchmen finale. We're not going to talk about it too much more because for some reason Jerry is not watching the show fast enough. It's driving me crazy. I
have a very small window of opportunity to watch shows.
From here on out, every episode is good. I have had some issues with the finale, but nothing major. I really enjoyed it, and I liked where the series ended, even though there was some things that I didn't agree with necessarily.
Okay.
But I'm interested to talk about it more.
But I know that it's really setting up season 2, right? Like to have the story go forward. Like there's still questions to be answered.
There's one question to be answered.
Okay.
Moving into season 2. It is a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
But
because that's what I thought
most
I'd heard.
This story is resolved.
Okay.
Everything that's really important.
There's only 8 episodes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm only 2 behind. I just got 7 and 8.
There's 9, I think. I think there's 9.
Okay.
There's
I've got to watch
lots
3.
and twists and turns to come.
All right.
So yeah, Watchmen. The other one I have been watching a lot more of is His Dark Materials. I've been talking about it.
You have?
It's just getting better and better and better.
Gosh, you love everything.
I'm telling you, this show, you always tell me I hate everything.
I know. That was kind of the joke.
This show is getting better and more mature as it goes along. It's treading into some pretty deep territory now. Getting, I don't know how many episodes. There's got to be not that many left of this season. I think I'm on 7 or 8.
That's an HBO show too, right?
It's HBO. Yeah. It starts off, the first many episodes are very young adult YA. It's a YA book series. So it's a very YA, like Hunger Games-ish.
Okay. I read those.
But as you get further on, it starts to take some really twisted, dark turns, which are not YA. Although I guess they could be considered. It's heavy, dark, challenging material for a kid.
Yeah.
And it's an intense, dark, twisted adventure story, but not horror and accessible. I really I like the formula that they're going with here.
Is it horror?
No, I think it's more like a dark sci-fi fantasy. But some really dark shit happens.
Really?
At the end of this season. And the acting is all really good.
Except for Lin-Manuel Miranda, like you said last episode.
He's not the best.
You said he was terrible.
Yeah, he's gotten a little better, but not a lot.
Okay. I feel like every time I see him, it reminds me of him as the chimney sweep in Mary Poppins.
That's exactly what he seems like in this.
That's what it looks like to me. It's like he looked like the same character.
Yeah. Well, anyway, other than that, a lot of the other acting is really good, and it's not Watchmen,
right?
But it's very, very watchable and very interesting. I'm really enjoying it more this second half of the season than the first half of the season. I feel like the first half of the season, there was a lot of like, let's get through this. Let's get through this. Let's get through this.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of paying off a little more.
Okay.
I've watched a couple movies. I went to the movie theater and saw with Cash on Monday. Mm-hmm. We saw Jumanji, The Next Level.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's the one that kicked Frozen 2 out of the top spot in the box office.
It's making all the monies.
It is. Lots of money.
Doing very well. And for good reason.
It's very good, huh?
It's a very fun movie, just like the first Jumanji.
We love the first one.
It's a great movie. I don't know that I
think it's hilarious.
Quite as good as the first Jumanji, but it's still very fun and it's funny and adventure. And it's
weird to me how I've followed this movie from creation to now and haven't seen it yet, but because I've watched a lot of Jack Black on YouTube because he has a channel called Jablinski Games. And he put that out. His kid is like the producer of it. So he let his kid make a YouTube channel of him. And it was going to be a gaming channel. But the joke is, which I've said before on here, but the joke is that he doesn't actually ever play video games. So every week he's always like, sorry guys, no gaming videos this week. But it's basically just following Jack Black around in his normal life. And I find it really interesting because I like Jack Black. I like Tenacious D. I like the movies he's been in, and I think he's hilarious. And so seeing him like behind the scenes when they were filming this stuff, of them just like videotaping him all the time was awesome. Because you'd see like The Rock and Kevin Hart and my favorite Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan, oh, she's so good in this movie. Gosh. She's better in this movie than the first one. She's great in this movie. There's a lot of different things about this movie. There's more characters, first off.
Yeah.
In the game.
So there's another woman in this movie, and she goes by Awkwafina.
Is that she's a comedian?
Yes.
She's really good.
Really?
Yeah. I like her.
She's so strange.
She's been in other stuff. She's like this.
She was in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, she's like a little Asian girl, but with like a Bronx, New York kind of accent.
Yes, really raspy voice.
Yeah.
And she's
really good. She's funny.
She's 31 years old. She's a year younger than me.
Yeah. I like her a lot.
But
I liked her a lot in Crazy Rich Asians, but she's really good in this.
I despise her name. Why are you going by Awkwafina? It's Awkfina.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked her in this movie. Also, Danny DeVito is in this movie. He's really good.
That's what I hear.
Danny Glover is in this movie. He's really good.
Yep.
I liked a lot of it. There was some stuff I didn't like. Can I spoil it or should I not spoil it? I should better not.
Don't spoil it. I want to see it because
it's worth seeing in theaters.
Okay. So I might go this weekend then with the boys.
And both of those Jumanji movies, I'm sorry if you're a purist, are better than the original Jumanji movie.
Oh, for
They're not.
sure.
It's not even close.
No, it's not. I didn't really care for the first Jumanji movie.
I rewatched it recently. I mean, within the last year with the kids. It's not that good.
No, it's really not. I mean, I like Robin Williams and all, but that movie's just weird.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
But this one is, The Rock's great in it. Kevin Hart is just freaking hilarious.
He's a really good actor.
Jack Black's hilarious. Karen Gillan is great. I can't say enough good things about it. It was just a last minute thing. I'm like, I just want to go do something. Me and Cash, we never get to hang out.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna pick him up from school and go. And we did, and we had a great time, and it's great.
Yeah, that's fun. I need to go see it.
I think we just like happened across the first one. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Oh, really?
And then we ended up seeing it in theaters, and it was fantastic.
Oh, you watched the first one in theaters too?
Yeah.
Oh man, we didn't. We just saw it on. It was already out on streaming and movie whatnot or DVD, and we had watched it one night. Like all of us were like, let's watch the new Jumanji movie. So we picked it up, got it off the TV, and started watching it. And Amy and I were like cracking up.
Oh, it's so
like,
funny.
It is so funny.
Like,
when they first change over to their character bodies, and are looking at each other, like the stuff that happens there is just hilarious.
There is solid moments throughout this entire movie where I laughed out loud in the movie theater, and so did everybody else in the theater.
Yeah.
And there was a fair number of people there at 4:15 on a Monday afternoon.
That's
And
amazing.
everybody was laughing out loud. Actually, the people behind me were laughing annoyingly too
Loud.
much. But
Yeah. Did you turn around and do this? Shh.
I did, actually.
No, you didn't.
I did. I actually threw some popcorn at him.
Wow. You're something.
Took a handful, and I chucked it at him.
And you're one of those worse people than just the annoying people laughing. You're like the obnoxious person that thinks everybody needs to bow down to your needs.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
But Cash loved it, so I would recommend a 6-year-old up.
It's me and Grady then.
Yeah.
So Grant can't go?
Yeah, Grant could go for sure.
Well, he's only 5.
Yeah, he'd be fine.
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of bad language. Do you care about that?
Not too much.
There's quite a fair amount of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a bunch of F words
No.
getting thrown
No
down?
F-bombs.
Bunch of like F me and the A?
Nope, none of that.
None of that?
A couple asses. A lot of goddammits.
Oh, that's fine.
Nothing
Whatever.
major. And then I also watched X-Men Dark Phoenix.
You did?
Yes.
Golly, I should have watched that by now, you'd think.
Yeah, I bought it a year ago.
Yeah, you bought it a long time ago. I remember you
Whenever
saying
it
that.
came out, I bought it, and I'm like, hey, I can't wait to watch this movie. I'm a big fan of the X-Men movie franchise in general, but also like the last several. I've liked all of them.
Yeah.
I even liked Apocalypse, even though everybody hated it.
So break it to me.
Well, I will break it to you.
Yeah.
Like for like the first, it's a weird movie, right?
Okay.
For a lot of the movie, I was sitting there thinking like, this isn't as bad as everybody said it was. And then like other times I'd be like, this is as bad as everybody said it was. And then like a little later I'd be like, it's not as bad though.
Yeah.
And then later I'd be like, yeah, but it is
No,
though.
it's pretty terrible.
It's not terrible. First off, let's get that out of the gate.
Okay.
It's not terrible
Good.
by any means. It's probably on par with Apocalypse. It's like there.
Yeah.
It's not great by any means.
I'm pretty easy to please, really.
Then you'll be fine with it. It's just one of those things that's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't
It's
need
nothing-
to see it.
It's nothing that was like groundbreaking, and I think people wanted something more because it was Dark Phoenix.
It's because the storyline and they wanted more. You don't even need to see it. Like if you just missed it, you wouldn't be out anything.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Other than the fact that like there's a Nightcrawler in it, which there hasn't been in any of the newer
The
X-Men.
newer ones, yeah.
And he's pretty good. There's Cyclops, which there hasn't been in any of the newer ones. It's a more
Yeah, he
newer
was.
team. No, I don't think so.
Yes, he was.
No, I don't think so.
When they land on the beach. I thought he was there.
No, that was Havoc. It was his brother. Shoots it out of the chest.
That's right. You're right.
I
I forgot about
So
that.
there's a lot of like, it's a little more updated of a team. Michael Fassbender's great in it. I really, again, James McAvoy is his name, right?
Yeah.
As Professor X, he was really good. It's a little of an odd for Jennifer Lawrence, but she's good in it. Everybody's good in it except for the Jean Grey, which is the girl from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, what's her name?
Sophia.
No, it's
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner. Yes.
She's not good. I mean, everybody was right about that.
Really, she's not.
Very not a great actor.
Because she just kind of stands there and doesn't
very
say much,
hollow,
right?
And like it's just not believable the way she conveys very little emotion.
Which is what
every part
she got to do in Game of Thrones because she was like forced to not show emotion in most.
Well, I couldn't stand her in Game of Thrones.
She wasn't that great.
She shouldn't have got that.
I thought it was just the character itself. Like you think it's the character because that's really the first thing you've ever seen her in.
She's just not a good actor.
And then you throw her into another movie and you get the same thing from her, and it's like, I guess you just suck.
There's some really, really fun, really well done action scenes that are worth seeing.
Okay.
I think.
I like that. I love X-Men.
Story-wise, meh. And acting-wise, on her part anyway, very meh. It's worth seeing, though. Just if you like to watch X-Men action,
I do.
Then watch it.
That's why I've always been into it, and I just kind of forgot that the movie existed, to be honest with you. After a while,
I think a lot of people did.
Well, yeah, and after a while, once it's out of theaters, and I never had a chance to go see it in theaters. Didn't really think I needed to.
You didn't.
And then it just kind of goes away because so much other content comes out. If there wasn't as much content coming out as there is, like we have now, I probably would have watched it already because I would have remembered like, ooh, X-Men movie, I got to see that. And I probably would have seen it. But now with everything that just is like an onslaught of stuff that you want to see, that kind of stuff goes to the wayside when you don't. If it doesn't immediately catch your attention as something you need to see in theaters, it's not anything I'm probably going to watch again.
That's why it took me a year to watch it when I had it sitting.
Right, and you have it physically at home.
Not even that. I had the digital copy loaded into my Fire Stick, so I just had to click a button to watch it.
Really?
And finally, I was home Sunday. I was really hungover all day.
Who would have thought?
It was bad.
It was bad, wasn't it?
I had a rough night, Saturday night.
You did.
But anyway... So I watched it and hated my life and
while you were watching it.
Regretted every choice that I ever made.
I was in solid shape Sunday. Actually, I spent all day outside building a chicken coop addition.
I cannot deal
finishing a chicken coop addition
with drinkers like remorse anymore. Like the depression after drinking.
It's bad, and that's like a hormone thing, right? Like that's a chemical imbalance that happens.
Whatever it is, I've always had it.
Serotonin. It's like a serotonin drop, and once you get that serotonin back, like you're happier in yourself again. But it takes a while for your body to like create that. And Joe Rogan actually talks about a supplement on his show that'll build up serotonin. I'm not saying like you need that to like it'll help you drink more or anything like that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying when you feel that way, when you feel that way, it builds up your serotonin, but it's like a natural thing. You can put in a drink and drink it.
Well, I can't like deal with it anymore, and it's just getting worse and worse.
It's like something you just don't want to deal with.
I just don't even want to deal with drinking anymore at all.
Right. Like that Coors Light that's sitting next to you.
Yeah.
You mean like over drinking. And I get it. I feel the exact same way. Well, doesn't everybody has that situation where they sit there.
The same way.
Well, everybody has that time where they sit there and they're like, I'm never doing this again. And that's more so from feeling terrible than mentally feeling terrible.
Well, it's like,
right?
It started happening after I got in my 30s, and now I'm 35, and my hangover, I don't even honestly think I was like that drunk, but it was like I'm a 3-day hangover probably.
Golly,
3-day hangover. But more of the issue than the physical hangover, which was bad.
Yeah.
Is the depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
That it causes it for several days afterwards, and it just starts to kind of eventually peter out. But
see, mine's not several days. Mine will happen the day after. And it'll be well into that evening to where I kind of mellow back out to normal. relatively normal. The next day after that, I'm 100% fine. I don't usually have any of that going on again.
So the first day, I get like the, oh my God, I made an ass out of myself, blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
stuff
Yes.
that everybody kind of gets, which you never do. If you're listening to this and you think that, you probably didn't.
Okay, I would say on average, you're right. The majority probably have not. But there are times where people have probably like made a complete fool out of themselves.
Yeah, but guess what? First of all, not that often.
No, not that often, but it
If
can
you're listening,
happen.
it probably wasn't you. You probably didn't do that.
Maybe.
Like what you're feeling is a result of alcohol in your body.
Yes.
It isn't that you legitimately went out and made an ass out of yourself. More than likely, you just didn't even do anything that out of the normal, but you're feeling it because of the effects of how the alcohol is having in your body.
Yeah, overly pronounced.
But on top of that, nobody else remembers for more than like an hour.
An hour, yeah.
Like, I'm not even saying if you're like around a bunch of other people that aren't drinking, like people just don't care about you. And now when I say you, I'm just talking to every individual viewers. Nobody cares about you enough that they're going to remember what you were doing like a day after it happens.
To the point where they're like gonna hone in, micro, like analyze the whole night and say like, well, I was watching every part of your night and this is what you've done wrong.
What your experience is a narrative in your mind from your point of view that nobody else has access to.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it is. You're exactly right.
So like those couple sentences that you said to that one person at 10:30 at night at that one place, they don't remember that.
You have actually been very good at like building me up after a night where we've been out and I may have drank too much.
Well, I'm very specifically do that for a reason.
And it's been like I'll say it to you like, man, what a mistake that was. Like how ridiculous was I? And you'll say, no, not that bad. You're pretty normal.
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, I wasn't.
A, because it's true.
Yes, exactly.
And B, because I do that for a specific reason. All right. Because everybody else you talk to lies to you to make themselves feel better.
And they will like to embellish a story to make it a story.
So my entire life, people have done that to me, and I freaking hate it.
Yeah.
And I've tested it with friends of mine, and I won't name any names, where I have gone out all night long and had maybe 2 drinks, been completely sober the entire night, and then mentioned something the next day like, oh man, I was really wasted, knowing that I wasn't.
Yes.
And then had them go, oh my God, you made an ass out of yourself, blah, 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 blah. Friends of mine that have done that.
Really?
And I sat there and made a mental note. I'm like, you are not a person to be trusted. You are an embellisher and you are a liar, my friend.
Absolutely. I hope that wasn't me.
No, I'm not. It wasn't you. And
like,
I don't mean
I'm
it.
not going to name any names.
I don't mean it in a way like you're a terrible person. You're a liar. I'm just saying like, why are you saying that? You're only saying that because you think it's cool to say that, or it makes you feel better, or it makes whatever.
Maybe.
And guess what? I don't like that. I don't like making people feel like that. I know what it feels like to be miserable and depressed. And I don't want people to feel like that. And it doesn't help the next day to be like talking to somebody that's already down and telling them what a shitty person they are.
There's been multiple times in my life when I used to drink a lot more. Like I've toned down drinking quite a bit ever since children have come around. And there was a time where people used to always tell me like, wow, you remember what you were doing last night? And it probably, I mean, I guess I can't say for sure that I wasn't a jackass. I'm sure I was multiple times, but it's just the point of like other people driving it home the next day that just makes it so much worse.
Well, and here's the thing about it, though.
And I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying that's good. Like, if you were acting, like, ridiculous or...
But 9 times out of 10, you weren't. That's the thing. Like, it's not true. Like, for example, you go out, you're having a great time, you're a little intoxicated, you're being the life of the party, everybody's laughing, we're all having fun.
Yeah.
And then the next day, to go and say, like, you made an ass out of yourself, when you're like, well, no, we were all having a great time. We were all laughing. Like, I was laughing at myself. You were laughing at funny things I was doing. I was laughing at funny things you were doing.
Yes,
we were having fun.
Yes.
That's the point. right?
Yeah, it is. Like, we wanted to have fun.
And we achieved that. And now you're coming and saying, like, for some reason,
So do you
that I was being ridiculous.
But do you feel like that's an after effect for them, those specific people, after they drink? Like, they also feel that, like, somewhat of like shame or guilt that they've drank so much, but they can point out someone else's
Absolutely.
drinking. Like, that's
I know
what they
that
do
is
for
the case
themselves.
because everybody's had that impulse to do that to somebody else, including me, including you. I'm sure
Yeah, I'm
you've had
sure
the
I've said it.
impulse to do that to somebody else.
To take the attention off yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why you're doing it. And I literally like make it a point in my life. And I do, everybody does it sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't help it sometimes. And sometimes people are ridiculous. But I always make a point to be like, if they say something to me, like, did I do this? Did I do that? I'm like, yeah. But it was fun and it was funny and we were all laughing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big deal.
Yes, you've done that to me.
And you were with your friends.
You've
and
said
that's
that
like,
to me multiple times.
Isn't that the point of having close friends? Because you can be yourself even when you're intoxicated. Anyway, I always try to make it a point to not be that person. That drives me crazy. And I know a lot of people that close friends of mine that do that. And
Yes.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, that's rough. I just don't like that feeling at all. And it happens every single time now. And it's not,
It does.
I'm not talking
Me
about
too.
blackout wasted. I haven't been blackout wasted drunk in years, since I was probably 22. No, I'm 25.
Oh, I definitely have been since then.
I really haven't been that incredibly drunk. And it doesn't take much for me to feel that way the next day.
No.
And it's like,
Honestly,
it's just so ridiculous.
it takes like 4 or 5 drinks to get to that. If I can stay under that, it's fine.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous to feel that way when you know you've been in like you were saying, like you're with friends, you're in a very structured and like
Safe
environment, and then you go home and you're the next day still feel that way. Why? You know, like, I didn't punch anybody.
Right.
Sounds like a pretty good night if I didn't. Not that I've punched a lot of people. I really haven't.
I don't know. I mean, it just that I guess I could call it that's something that stretches my springs. So if you're a listener
that
and
could
you
be a
do that,
spring-
if you're one of those
spring
people the
stretcher.
next day that's texting all your friends being like, "Oh my god,
Did
were
you see Chris?
ridiculous."
Did you see Jerry?
You're bad. You're a bad person. You need to stop doing
Kind of
that.
are.
You need to stop doing that. It really, like, there is, and maybe this isn't, I don't know. Me and you are agreeing that that's the way we are, like with the feelings that you get after
Oh
you're
gosh,
drinking.
yeah.
But maybe not everybody's like
Maybe
that.
not everyone. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are like that, and it's really hard to hear that stuff.
So
next
I
day.
wasn't that way earlier in my life. I didn't feel that way earlier in my life when I was
here.
younger.
I didn't either. Well, I kind of always have a little bit, but it's definitely worse now.
I really didn't. It is so much worse now for me. And I guess I can't pin it down to an age, but I would say definitely from like 29 and above, probably. But either way, it's happened more recently, and it gets like worse every single time, to where I have this anxiety. It's not necessarily depression. Like, I'm not depressed. I'm just so like anxious about like, what did I do and how do I need to fix it, and what can I do to never do that again besides like not drink at all.
Yeah.
And then, but I just have this anxiety that like someone's going to find this out.
Yeah.
Like, someone's going to find out what I did, and I'm going to have to explain myself. And it's all going to come down to like, I have a drinking problem, which I don't, but that's what I feel like is going to happen to me. And
see, for me, I get like, there's a lot of anxiety for like the first day, but then it mellows into like a real solid depression
okay,
for
so
like
we're
the
just-
next 2 days,
2 days,
maybe longer, sometimes a week.
Really?
Yeah. But
Like, that's such a long time.
I already have had struggles with depression
Sure.
throughout my life. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I'm sure
It
it's
could be.
chemical related.
It has to be.
I don't really have any specific reason to be depressed in my life. So,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's chemical related, and
Yes.
it's a depressant. You're taking in a depressant,
Yeah, you are.
and when you're already prone to depression, it's probably worse.
That's probably a negative. Yeah.
So
But don't two negatives make a positive?
apparently not.
Oh, okay.
Apparently two negatives make just a bigger negative
Yeah,
number.
I think it just makes a worse negative.
I don't know. Like I'm kind of over it with. I mean, casually drinking, occasionally, fine. I'm just kind of over like the whole going out and just like the purpose of you going out is to drink a lot.
Yeah.
Like going out to a bar to drink. Just not something I'm interested in anymore.
No.
Now going somewhere to do something and having some drinks, fine.
Yeah. So I had this
Like
situation.
I don't even I can't even think of there's not a lot of situations anymore where I'm even interested in going to a bar.
I went out, what day was that? Friday.
Yeah.
So it was Friday night, and, guy asked me to go out. A buddy of mine asked me to go out. And I was, yeah, sure, whatever. So went out. I had no intentions of staying out late. My problem is like, once you get that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
You got a couple drinks in you, and you're like having good conversation, and I can talk to a frog. It doesn't matter who's sitting next to me, especially if I've had any drinks in me. I can talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. Bring up anything, and I'll not necessarily relate to it, but let's talk about it. And I'll talk all night long.
Yeah. And like the
Non-stop.
next thing you know, it's like
2 a.m.
Yeah.
And you're giving people rides home. I didn't get super drunk by any means. I was like very capable of driving. And I gave other people that were not capable of driving whatsoever rides home. But still, I still had enough to drink to where the next day I was just like, gosh, why did I do that? Like, I didn't even need to stay out that late. I had no intentions of staying out that late. I did catch up with a guy that I went to school with, and he was in the Army and was deployed. And we figured out that we were deployed in the same area at the same time, which I never knew to begin with, and he didn't either. But anyway, like there was a lot of good conversation there, but there's just like weird things that happened at the bar that I was like, I don't even need to be here to see this.
Right.
It just like was a culmination of things that the next day I was just like, that was dumb. Like I should have went home earlier. Now, like it just.
Now I didn't get enough sleep, or
Exactly.
I slept in later than I
Yes.
would have wanted. I wanted to do this in the morning with my kids. I can't do it. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it was not worth it to me, and every time I know that going into the situation, I know I have that feeling, but I have this huge thing of FOMO. You know what FOMO is? Fear of missing out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just innately want to be involved with basically everything.
Yeah. I think everybody has that to a certain extent.
I don't know.
I'm definitely.
I know a lot of people that are just like completely cool with being like, nope, gonna stay in tonight. I don't need to be involved with that whatsoever.
Yeah. I'm getting more like that as I get older. I definitely had exactly what you're talking about for the majority of my life. But the last like 2 years, it's starting to fade away.
Mine is more and more.
Like I'm now to the point where I'm just like, and literally I'm saying like really recently where I'm like totally just like, nah, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it has more to do with probably having 3 kids than anything else.
Absolutely.
And like, I find myself lots of times now regretting like not that I don't spend a bajillion amount of my hours with my kids, but like lots of times I'm like, I'm really not spending quality time
Yeah, sure.
with my children. So I'm like, it's easier for me to pass up on stuff now. But you're right. There are people, I would say like probably like, I don't know. There's definitely people I know that are just like, I don't need to do anything ever. Like, whatever.
Yeah. There are people out there that just don't care about going places, and you've got to literally drag them out
But
in order for them to be
like
involved.
This is gonna sound weird, but like me and you have a lot of friends,
Right.
and that's how you get those friends is by like being there all the time.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people that don't do anything ever and never really did and just don't really have any friends.
Yeah. I never want to be the guy that doesn't have any friends. I like friends, and it's because I like going out and doing things and being involved. But there's also something to that I appreciate way more now, the older I've gotten, is that there's a difference between having a lot of friends and having quality friends.
Definitely.
So quality friends are someone that you can, like, you and I could not speak to each other for the next 2 months, and then on the third month,
I don't think that's possible.
no, it's not. It's impossible because we wouldn't have a podcast anymore. But I'm saying, like, in that third month, we would be like completely fine. Like, nothing's, what's up? There are other people out there that would be like, well, he doesn't care about me. He's not a good friend. And then they won't like.
Yeah. I don't associate with those people.
Exactly.
Not at all.
And that's what I mean. There are difference in friends.
You're not my friend if we're not seeing each other like for the first time in a year and being like, we should totally hang out more.
Yeah. 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 Oh yeah. We should get together sometime.
And then I don't see him again for another year.
Exactly. Yes. That happens all the time.
Yeah. Those are my good friends.
Those are your good friends?
Well, and the people I see all the time. But
Yeah.
like, yeah.
It's so, but what I've been like looking at more in my life is that I don't need to have 57 different friends to go hang out with, because most of them are just like that. It's like, oh, we should catch up. And maybe you do, maybe you don't. And it's just like, well, that's kind of useless.
I
like
think when you stop going, when you settle down and you have a family, you stop hanging out at the bar all the time.
Yeah.
You realize quickly after that like there's a difference between friends and acquaintances.
Sure.
And there's a lot of people that you're sometimes extremely close with.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're family with them. And then as soon as you stop doing the things that they're doing, it's over.
like over.
I mean,
yeah.
And Marley had some of that after we got together, and part of it was I was a little older, so I was a little out of that scene to begin with by the time we got together, but she was younger, so she was right in the middle of that. And there's this period like through your 20s
There is,
where you have these people that you're friends with that you feel like they're family, like they're your family, like they replace your family.
Yes.
And it's like so intense, and it goes away, and then you realize later on, you're like, oh, like those were just acquaintances.
Yeah. So I was talking about like the high school youth group that I'm a part of in Manuka. I've told a lot of students this, like over the last few years, like the graduating seniors, don't get caught up in like the friendships you have right now with certain people to the point where it changes your direction that you want to go in life. Like, do not make decisions based off of what you think a friendship needs to be, because the majority of your friends in high school, where if you stick around the area and you may have contact with them, it is not going to be the same thing, because you have a friendship with them because you go and see them every day in high school and you have to be there together. But outside of that, when you're making your own choices, a lot of times people aren't going to choose you. So why waste your time?
I would say that, yeah, but like the majority of probably my closest friends are like my friends from high school still.
I understand that, but I'm saying, like, would you say all of the same friends you had in high school you still have as those quality friends now?
It's the ones that I was friends with in high school that I continued to be friends with the rest of my life.
Yes, but the majority of them, you could have. I had a ton of friends in high school.
Oh yeah,
I
I
don't
see most of them.
See much anymore, and we don't really have interaction with anymore, and it's just because you go a different way in life.
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make to them is, like, don't think that all of your friends you're going to have this big, massive group friend rally together, and when that doesn't happen, don't get super sad about it. It's just the way life goes.
Yeah.
But there's so many, it's usually females, like the girls just want to have that big girl group that they've had in high school. They want that to live on.
Those don't hold together.
And it just doesn't stay together,
I think it's like you make your closest friends through shared experiences. So whether it be, and just unfortunately, high school just isn't one of those. It is in a small aspect, but you're so young.
Yeah.
You really form that through like your late teens and into your 20s, into your early and mid 20s. And the shared experiences being, well, college is one of them. Like,
Yeah.
you generally are much closer friends to your college friends than your high school friends. The military is one of those.
I was going to say
shared
war.
experience. Yeah. Work
Yeah, work.
is very much like that. So things like that. Even when you get a little bit older, family, that shared experience. I've made a lot of people that I was friends with before that I've become really close friends with just by virtue of having families at the same time.
Yep.
So, Dude, for example, is a perfect example. One of my closest friends now. And we've always been friends.
Sure.
We hung out in high school and we hung out when I was in college, and we've hung out since then. But when we all had kids, that's when we started really hanging out.
Absolutely.
And that's when we became really close friends. So it's shared experiences that drive friendship. And just high school is not really, there is that, and you will make those friends. And those are kind of those really close friends you make in high school are the kind that you stay friends with forever, but you can go years without talking to.
You would think, like, I had thought that there was friends in high school that we would absolutely be friends, like really close friends forever, to where we were hanging out, doing things, regularly, that didn't pan out that way.
Yeah.
And then I think about, like, man, wonder what happened there.
I had friends and roommates in college, for example, and this goes against what I just said, but that, at the time I would have sworn, we're going to be the best man at my wedding.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to him since.
Yes.
Once.
There are,
in 15 years.
I know. I know. And that's the crazy part about life, is that you never know the direction it's going to take you. And what ends up being more important is the time you have with the people that are close to you, rather than having to try to reach out to someone else. You know what I mean? Like, spending the time to reach out to somebody else that you can't guarantee is going to be this lasting friendship that is mutual, I guess, like a mutual thing between both of you, to where you can have that close relationship. So why am I going to take my time? And that sounds kind of selfish. I guess maybe it is, but when you already have the quality of friendships and that, like, group of people you are hanging out with now, why do I need to, like, stray off and try to build another relationship with someone that you just had in high school, that you thought, or college, that you thought was something, and it ended up being like, we just have different lives, And that's what it is. At the end of the day, a lot of times, like, you go one path and they go another, and it just doesn't meet, because it's not the same trajectory, I guess.
Right.
So that was a friendship talk.
Somehow we turned
I don't know how we got
to that. And I guess the moral of the story is, don't tell people the next day that they were being ridiculous.
It is. That's the moral of the story. Just, if you've all drank together, you've had fun, leave it at that.
Leave it alone.
If somebody texts you and says,
just be cool, man.
Yeah.
Just
come on,
man.
Cool. Just be cool. If somebody texts you and says, like, I was a complete ass last night, just do like Chris does and say, meh.
Well,
I
don't say that to make people feel better. It's the truth. Like, most of the time,
I feel like sometimes you've said it to make me feel better.
Most of the time, nobody does anything that ridiculous.
True.
Honestly.
But I do think people can act out of place. You know what I mean? Like, or out of the normal.
So what? That's the thing. Like, so what?
Yeah.
Like, people act out of place. And first of all, you got to put it in context. Like, okay, yes, you did that. But guess what? It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. And that you weren't around anybody that matters.
Yeah.
Or that you're ever going to see again. So there's no reason for you to even think about it again. Or like... and
it didn't impact your overall life or livelihood.
If you, like, got hammered and, like, stripped down naked in a bar and ran around, or, like, pulled a gun on somebody, or, like, punched somebody.
Yeah.
Like, those are real issues.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That is definitely real
Like,
issue.
you need to stop drinking. But if you just, like, if you're just saying, like, stupid, you made a stupid joke.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's what's funny about life.
It is.
Hey, Did you have any what you're watching?
No, actually, I was trying to think of a bunch of stuff, and I never wrote anything down earlier in the week to prepare for anything like normal. The Watchmen is all I can really think of that I've watched, because in the last week I haven't been home in the evening, or if I have been home, somebody's been over. I really haven't watched much besides that one episode of The Watchmen.
Right. Well, we're going to go home tonight and watch The Last Mandalorian, and I guess we'll wrap it up then. So if you are listening to this, next week, tune in for our Star Wars review. We'll have spoilers.
Yes.
So make sure you see the movie. You'll have a full almost 3 weeks, really, to see it.
Right.
And it's going to make all the monies in the world, so you might as well see it. While we're on the subject, we have some podcast sponsors we need to shout out.
We do. Who are they?
Johnson Farms.
Yeah, Johnson Farms. So it's Johnson Farms and Johnson Trucking. It's basically the same thing, but he does everything with his semi. He'll haul your house.
He will haul your house with you in it.
Yes, with you in it.
Whether you're not,
with you in it.
Whether you ask him to or not.
Yeah, he's gonna haul your house somewhere.
Like, honestly, he's probably just gonna show up at your house,
haul it away,
and you're gonna like wake up in the morning and you're gonna walk out. You got your coffee maker; it's already on like the auto thing. At like 6 o'clock in the morning, you go out and you can smell it. You're leaving your bedroom like, oh, I'm glad I remembered to put the grounds in and set the timer.
There's nothing better than Folgers in your cup.
You're just like, I'm going to walk out here. I'm going to take a piss. It's still dark out.
Yeah, of course it is.
I'm going to go to the bathroom.
It's dark all the time.
I'm going to get my cup of coffee. I'm going to sit down and watch the WGN morning news.
Yes.
You sit down and flip your TV on. Nothing comes up.
Nothing would come on.
No.
Of course.
You're like, wait, what's going on? Nothing's coming up. Your Google Home device doesn't have the weather up.
Nope.
Nothing's going on. And you're like, oh, shit, the power's out.
Why would the power be out?
Well,
that's silly.
There must have been a storm last night.
I've got a backup generator.
Yeah. Well, but I don't know. Must have kicked out the backup generator. So you go look out the window, 65 mile an hour.
Down the road. On Interstate 80.
Interstate 80.
Heading west.
West.
To the Mississippi.
And you are just confused at this point, right?
Uh-huh.
So you open...
I would be.
You,
very confused.
You think that this can't be right. This whatever you're still dreaming.
And you know what you got in front of you when you look out that window?
What's that?
Johnson Trucking Peterbilt.
Yeah.
With Sean behind the wheel.
You go open your front door and what do you see? A headache rack.
You do. You see a rack. You see the coral and or salmon color that I still haven't clarified what it is. It's a nice looking truck though. And he's hauling you away for a certain dollar amount that you would have to pay him.
Yeah. So you're going to be relocated.
Also, if you were looking for a position, you could have a semi full-time, part-time position with Johnson Trucking, driving his truck for him that he will pay you for.
Yeah.
Because that is available.
Looking for employees to haul you and your house away.
Yes. You, your house, your driveway, trees if you want, asphalt. What else? What else could you haul?
Don't worry. He took your wife and children out of the house and put them at your mother-in-law's house. So they're still going to make it to school. He just forgot about you.
Right.
And so you're being relocated, but he's taking care of all the details.
Exactly. Except for the whole moving your house part of it.
Well, that's part of the gig.
Yeah. You obviously hired him, whether you knew it or not.
Yeah. You might have been in a narcoleptic state. You might have drank too much, really.
Here we go. Back to that. And he's being a good friend and getting you out of the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, house and all.
The next morning, that would be one of those mornings where I would say, you were being ridiculous last night. You sold your house to a man in Utah and hired Johnson Trucking to pick it up, take it out.
And take it there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Over the Rockies.
I tell you what, he is capable...
It's a Mormon house now.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Isn't that...
It's bought by the Mormon Church.
A lot of polygamy there.
Well, they're the largest landowner in the United States.
The Mormon Church is?
Yeah.
No kidding.
And now they own your house, Jerry.
Huh. And you know what got it there? Johnson Trucking.
A Peterbilt.
A Peterbilt. Got my Peterbilt rolling down Interstate 80.
Eastbound and down,
Loaded
rolling up and trucking.
Loaded up and trucking. We gonna do what they say can't be done.
We got a long way to go
and
but a short time to get there.
We're eastbound, just watch our bandit run.
Yeah. Hey, and also brought to you by
Oh, yeah.
Coors. Not light. Should be the banquet beer.
Well, right, the banquet beer, but it's legal east of the Mississippi now.
Yeah.
Or is it west? No, it's east of the Mississippi.
East of the Mississippi.
Yeah.
We also have a podcast sponsor, Seed and Top Show Pigs.
Seed and Top Show Pigs.
If you need some pigs that you want to show.
If you're in 4-H or you have a child in 4-H, and if you don't know what 4-H is, it's a organization where people have animals and or projects.
H's. I pledge my hands for larger service.
My heart
for healthy living.
I think so.
My head for clear thinking.
No, I don't remember.
What's the other H? Head, heart, hands, hiney?
No, definitely not hiney. It's
want to touch the hiney?
My hands for larger service, my heart for better living, my head for clearer service, and my
home.
I thought it was my health.
My health.
My health for better living.
What is the 4-H pledge?
No, my.
Oh my God, we used to have this banner in our house.
Yeah.
I pledge my head to clear thinking. My heart to greater loyalty.
Uh-huh.
My hands to larger service. I was pretty right on with that.
Yeah, you were.
My health to better living.
Yeah.
For my club,
my community, my country, and my world.
And David Seed and Top's world. Seed and Top Show Pigs. The best thing about Seed and Top Show Pigs is you don't really have to do anything, and your child doesn't have to do anything.
No.
Pretty much you just pay him like a little bit for the pig, and he does everything.
He will literally 100% raise.
And he'll probably just show it for you, too.
Show it. He takes care of it solely on his own. You will have to do no work.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
So if you want to, like, try to do a good thing for your kids and expose them to the larger world of agriculture, but you're really lazy and you don't want to actually do anything,
yeah,
then you just pay him and he does it, and it makes you feel better about
you
yourself.
pay Seed and Top Show Pigs, and he's going to give you a show pig that has a genetic line that is so on top of the show pig world that people are like groveling at his feet over his swine genetics.
Yeah.
You know,
his
they're
ample hams.
Oh my gosh, have you seen them hams?
They're ample.
They are cured and ample. And then
speaking of Seed and Top Show Pigs, he provided us with some pork.
He did, and that's another thing you can also buy from him is pork.
The other day, we took out some pork chops, 4 of them from the freezer, and thawed them out in the refrigerator. And then, like, one of those series of events happened. These awful series of events.
Where you unplugged your refrigerator?
Where we just had too many activities.
And you left them in there for an extended period of time.
And 4 days later, the pork chops are still in there. I say to my wife,
they're thawed.
The pork chops are in there. We need to cook them now.
Like now.
And then 2 more days go by, and then it's done.
They can't do it after 6 days.
4 pork chops, prime, grade A.
Grade
down
A plus.
The tubes.
Man, what a waste.
Devastating.
Why would you do that on purpose?
I didn't do it on purpose.
I feel like you did it on purpose just to slight
thick
our sponsor.
Pork chops.
They're delicious.
When you bite into Seed and Top pork, I'm going to tell you what. It's not the other white meat.
It bites back.
It's like red meat.
It is kind of like red meat.
Like, this pork is like a steak.
It's wonderful.
Get them thick cut, though.
I would never get a thin pork chop. And the only reason for that is because you don't have that intramuscular fat in pork like you do beef.
Yeah.
To keep it tender.
Here's another thing that I think people need to understand. You don't need to cook pork well done.
No, you do not. That was a marketing scheme or something.
You want to cook it basically the same as beef.
People were worried that you would get like
trichinosis.
Trichinosis, yes.
I think the last case of trichinosis was from like the 1800s, guys.
As long as you can get it above a certain temperature.
I wouldn't even worry about that. I like it still red in the middle, pink in the middle, juicy in the middle.
Juicy.
That's why you get them thick cut so you don't overcook the centers. When you get them thin, it's hard to not overcook the centers.
Correct.
You want it to be a little rare inside.
I mean, you don't, for a thin, like butterfly pork chop that you'd buy from the store or something.
That's called
or
a
like
sandwich pork chop, and that's not my
not or
my
if
jam.
they have American cut pork chops as well that are just like, it's basically like you have the butterfly one cut in half, and like each half is like a thin little pork chop. Those you can literally put on the grill for like 1 minute aside, and it's done. It's like already overdone.
And that's all. Those are all about the seasening, right?
Yeah, they
the
are.
Seasoning
Yeah.
and the char. All right. But when you're cooking a real pork chop, a thick, like a 1-inch
thick
pork chop,
bastard.
when you're cooking like a 1-incher, 1 1/4, you want it to be pink in the middle.
You really do. I completely agree with you.
It's a whole new world.
A whole new pork chop.
All right. Well, that's all of our sponsors for this week.
For this week?
We're not going to do sponsor advertisements every week. We're just going to rotate them in and out.
Every once in a while.
But if you guys do want to sponsor our podcast, you can do that over at patreon.com/snarfcomics. And there you can get extra content. You can get bonus podcasts that are very entertaining.
Absolutely. Script pages.
Several of those podcasts, the next day, we've been depressed because we drank too much.
That has been an issue. Chris, after the last one that was put out, Chris was not on board with me posting.
I didn't want it posted. It's too hot for TV.
It was. So that's why we put it on the internet.
So it's on the interwebs, but only for paying subscribers. We also have exclusive script pages from our first comic book, and then also coming up for Jetpack Samurai, our current comic book that we're working on.
Current endeavor.
That we will have finished up by the end of the month.
By the end of this month.
Yep.
Completely finished.
The script will be done.
Done.
I've been writing.
Have you?
You don't even know it.
I didn't know that. Have you been in the drive doing
Nope.
that? Oh, just on your own, huh?
Yep.
Like under the radar so I can't see it.
Yeah.
That's not fair. It's not fair to me.
But that will be coming out more of that, and we'll be doing some more exclusive podcasts. We got a couple to do this month that we haven't done yet. And if you are a subscriber at the $25 level, you get a bundle o' Snarf.
Bundle o' Snarf.
Where we send you interesting stuff that I think you'll enjoy. We haven't sent those out yet. We don't send them out every month, but you get credit every month for...
Absolutely. So the dollar amount of like what the box is going to be will just...
reflect the amount of months that you've been a
Correct.
bundle of Snarf subscriber.
Correct. And you're going to get them.
Yes. Those will be going out this month, guys.
Yes, very shortly.
If you're a bundle of Snarf, we've been kind of banking them to save on shipping, really, to be honest with you guys. We'd rather give you goods than spend $15, $20 on shipping costs.
Absolutely.
Because
shipping
like,
cost
the
is like
shipping
outrageous.
eats it up, man, really quick. So we'd rather spend money on stuff and put it in one box and send it to you rather than every month send you a little box that costs like minimum $10 to send.
Correct.
So that's all I got for this week, Jerry.
That's all we have, Christopher.
For Snarf Talk this week, I've been Chris.
I am Jerry.
See ya.